I just changed the Discord link on the CoCoTALK live page because it's the old one.
Oh, okay.
Under our story, doesn't match.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think we're live on YouTube. Now let me just see if we're going to show up on Facebook here real quick, so we can start sharing this out live on Facebook. Okay. So I do see that we are now live on Facebook too. So if somebody wants to share out our Facebook live feed, that would be great. And then I'm going to press the button here in just a second. We'll start the intro. Let me just make sure I got all my little emoji meters set up. Okay, I think we're good. I think our emoji meters are set up. All right, we're going to do it live here, folks, in just a second here. This is CoCoTALK After Dark, and we haven't done an After Dark since last year, like just before Christmas. I think it was like around December the 22nd when we did an After Dark. So we're back together again. And let's cue the intro music right now. Hey, Tom C is here again from Jersey. All right, it's official. All right, here we go.
CoCoTALK After Dark. CoCoTALK After Dark.
That's right. When you can't get enough of old guys talking during the day, well, we get more old guys talking at night. The only difference is now it's past our bedtime and we're cranky. So get off my lawn, kids. All right. And welcome, everybody, to CoCoTALK After Dark episode. I don't know what. But it's 24 or something like that. Let's make sure that's in here. Let me put a little message out here saying we're live. Make sure the live chat's showing up. Okay. So the live chat is here. We are live. We've got a band of merry men here with us, and hopefully we'll get some more as the evening comes and goes. But we have celebrity interview booker himself, Mr. Agent to the Stars. Ron Delvaux is with us here. How you doing, Ron?
Pretty good.
All right. We've got that Apple guy. What was your title today for the show? Your engineer, producer, executive, something? Producer is a man of many talents, but Mark D. Overholzer is in the house. Hello, Mark. We have our streaming engineer and just all-around good-looking guy from New Jersey. Tom C. is with us. How you guys doing, Tom?
Oh, I'm pretty good. How about you?
Not bad, not bad. We have the 100% shareholder of all of the inventory of Switcheroo products in the entire country of Uruguay. Diego is with us today. Buenas noches, Diego.
Hey guys, how you doing? Buenas noches para todos.
Right back at you. I'll take a number 12. Number 12 with extra guacamole, please. So, yeah, whatever you just said there. Yes, sir. And we've also got president of RSK, Dick Adams, is with us.
Thank you. You're too kind. Too kind indeed.
And we've got the king of the dumpster fires himself from Boyson Technologies, Mr. Richard Lorbieski's in the house. All right. And then last but certainly not least, Chet Simpson is with us too. Hello, Chet. How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing?
We're doing good. And you're in Vegas, right, Chet?
Yes, I am.
What happens there stays there.
Except for herpes.
The gift that keeps on giving. Yeah. So how'd you guys enjoy having the show today? I got a chance to listen to it. I enjoyed listening to the show. You guys have fun doing it?
Yeah.
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 Excellent. You guys did a hell of a job, which is much appreciated. And that what I have come to realize about this show is that it's number one. No matter what we think is going to happen, there's always something unexpected, and there's always some just magic that seems to happen. Where we're just plodding along, talking, not knowing what we're going to talk about. All of a sudden, somebody jumps on, and we just have this great thing to talk about for 4 hours. So there's always like that mystery guest or that just thing that falls out of the sky. These little gifts from heaven that just kind of fall in here. So that's kind of a cool thing that happens. But the great thing is that that we've had plenty of times where we've had, different people host and different people stream it and things like that. And, to me, the show is the panel, so as long as you get you get some guys like you guys here, up on the screen here, just talking, it's always a good show. So, it's, for me, it's like kind of cool when I'm not on the show to listen to it from the outside and to like just be able to enjoy the show and not have to run the show, so to speak, press all the buttons, so it's kind of nice to be a passenger sometimes, and it's good quality entertainment. I enjoyed listening to you guys today, so thanks for doing it. Hell of a job. And the emotions are flying across the screen on Facebook right now. We're getting some love here. Thank you for the love. We certainly appreciate that. You're too kind. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, you're too kind. And thank you.
And Sir David Rad is with us. David, can you hear us?
Nope, I can't hear you at all.
Speaking of, gifts falling from heaven, David Ladd just landed on our lap here. David Ladd, how have you been, sir?
Yeah.
That good. All right.
We missed you today.
Permission to speak freely granted.
Oh, Lordy.
We just got a message from Ron Delvaux on Facebook. All right. So we got a live chat on Facebook from this guy named Ron Delvaux.
Yep.
All right. Let's make sure that the live. Hold on. What's going on here on
we
Facebook?
We missed you today.
Permission to speak. Okay, there we go. I just had to click on the Facebook feed. All right, we got it.
Why would you guys miss me?
I hear some noises. Who's playing a game right now? I hear pew pews. Is that you, Rick?
Oh, that's me.
Okay.
I thought I was muted.
No, that's cool. I like the pew pew sounds. Sounds better than ticka 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 ticka.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Ticka 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 ticka.
All right, thank you. Good night, guys. It's a great show. Another great show. See y'all next week.
Moving on.
So. We're getting bombarded with emojis on Facebook here. It's overwhelming. So, Diego, what have you been up to? How's your XCOM game coming along?
I'm actually finishing it right now. I just want to change where I play some sounds to make it go better with the text. But it's ready. It's ready to play.
Excellent.
Yep. So I'm going to upload it tomorrow, hopefully. Then I want to do it. Translate it in Spanish and translate it to PC and hopefully to other retro computers and maybe even for Android.
Oh, neat. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
See hopefully. A Coco project show up on other places.
Yep. It's been a while since I wrote anything for a PC, so
okay.
I think that will work.
And it's written in BASIC, right?
It is.
So you could, if you get QB64, you familiar with that?
Yep, that's what I'm going to use.
Yeah, and then you can save it on PC, Mac. I don't know if it doesn't do Linux as well, QB64.
It does.
And then Android too, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I have that on my list to do for a version of Cosmic Aliens too. So, because it's one set of source code gives you multiple output choices, which is kind of cool.
Right, and there you won't have to worry about speed.
Yeah, right. You don't have to worry about counting cycles, right?
Yeah.
Let me optimize this here just a little bit, right? So,
just load BMPs for everything.
Then you can load BMPs. You can play MP3s in the background, play a video clip. It's just like, yeah. Oh, good times.
So yeah, I'm not going. I don't think I'm going to try to move to assembler or machine language or however you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to try with the basic 09. I gotta
Oh,
get some
yeah.
to
You'll get
set
some
up.
speed out of that, and with all the optimizations that Curtis is doing, he's going to make it even faster.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's kind of cool. I think OS 9 needs to be shown a little bit more love, and this is probably a low barrier of entry there, right? So it's a shorter learning curve.
That's right. That's right. I'd like to sit in front of the computer and just start coding just how it comes. And you can't do that with assembly. You have to think what you're going to be doing. I don't think. I just start adding more and more code and things just work.
Yeah, it would be interesting to get. You could probably pick the brain of Bruce Moore a little bit. He's had some hands-on experience, beating on OS 9 recently.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep, sounds good. Yep.
All right.
And what happened with Cosmic Aliens? I haven't seen anything on it.
Well, part of it is just being distracted by other things, distracted and lazy. Part of it is the version I was working on, I kind of felt like it got away from me because John Strong gave me all this code and I have no idea how the code works. So
he got a new game for Christmas.
Yeah, I got a new game for Christmas. So I spent a week playing. I spent a week playing Tomb Raider, and now I spent a week playing Assassin's Creed. So, but no. So I kind of felt like the version that I was working on, I kind of like lost an understanding of some of these routines, and I haven't had a chance to get with John to ask him, and so I just felt like I hit a speed bump. And the next version that I want to make, and it's in my mind, and I want to do it, and I just been, like I say, lazy and distracted, but I want to start on the text-only version of it, and write the whole new version, and not even semi-graphics, just alphanumeric text, literally just ASCII text on the screen, because that, not only do I want to make that version just to make it, but then the next plan was to take that same version, and once I get my CoCoVGA and play around with how you can change the character sets in CoCoVGA, I could drop in instant graphics, and so it gets a free upgrade. So I want to make a custom game for the CoCoVGA, and so I'm going to take that same code and just expand it to use the 64 column mode with the better character sets and stuff like that. So that's my next project, and it's all in the kind of mental development stage. I kind of know what I want to do, and I've got a lot of the routines worked out in my head, but it's just I haven't sat down to the keyboard yet.
If you want to play around with some of the visuals on something like that, you should check out a couple of the high-res utilities for the Coco 2 that use the graphic screen for text, because a lot of them would let you change the fonts.
Say that last part again. Using the high-res graphic screen.
Yeah, there's utilities like high-res utilities that display all of the text on the high-res screen instead of the text screen.
Okay.
So you can do you can do the standard 32 columns, or you can do a 40 column or a 51 column or a 64 column. I think Telewriter 64 uses it. Well, there's actually some utilities up in the Coco archive that allow you to do that. You can run it's a graphic screen on the Coco 2 that mimics the text screen.
Okay, I see what you're saying though, but my only concern with that would be is that if it's actually rendering them graphically, then I'm going to lose all the speed I would have if I'm just writing straight to the 512 byte screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think I understand what you're saying, but yeah, then that would kind of defeat the purpose, because that that 32 by 16 screen is really easy to manipulate even in BASIC with speed.
Right. Well, I'm not talking about using it for the game. I'm talking about for just playing around with some of the visuals. If you want to
like the character fonts to see what a font. Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Okay, I got you. Okay.
So I take it these utilities patch the fonts in the ROMs because they're really actually mapped into RAM space.
No, they just redirect everything to the graphic screen and draw the fonts themselves, or draw the glyphs themselves.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Hi-Res 3 from CirtComp was one, but that was for the Coco 3. But there was also Hi-Res and Hi-Res 2 for the Coco 1 and 2.
There are some games I was seeing some. I think it's called 666 or something like that, and it's all written in BASIC. And yeah, it actually takes you to that weird mode. And even after you exit the game, you're in your BASIC prompt. You're typing just there, but the high-res graphics are still on the same screen. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that John's routine, one of the parts of the routine he gave me, which does work, and I do understand, is that he hacked the print at command, where I could use the print at command and print to the P mode 1 screen. So instead of using my draw routine, where I was using draw statements to hand draw every letter of the alphabet, and you could actually watch them being formed like a skywriter on the screen. He gave me an assembly one for that, where I just used print at statements, but they came up as graphical fonts on the graphic screen, and I could even change colors and stuff like that. So that's one that I understood. But the last one that he changed that I don't understand is he turned all my get put routines and all of my character data into an assembly chunk of code that I don't know anything about this code. He just changed it for me, and it works. But if I wanted to do anything else, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do. So I just kind of feel like, well, now I'm stuck. Now, yeah, it's faster, but I'm stuck. And yeah, you helped me, but in a way, you kind of screwed me at the same time, because I can't make any more progress. Which was my complete fear. Was I've had a few people say, "Hey, let me help you. Let me do this. Let me do that." And I'm like, but number one, I want it to be mine. I want to go through the struggle, and I want this to be my baby. But number two, I don't want to get in a position where I can't work on my own program because I don't know what the hell it's doing. And I'm kind of in that place now, where that last change he made, I could go back one version.
Mm-hmm. That's called cargo cult programming.
Yeah.
It fell from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And it works, and that's marvelous, but what is it?
Yeah, exactly, because
it's magic.
There's actually one of the high-res utilities that would help you keep on track with something like that. They add extra commands to BASIC. In fact, Eric Critchlow was using one of them when I first met him. He used it to create a Star Trek game where you mixed graphics and text. It had supported a mouse cursor, even supported sprites on there. So I mean, and all of that control was given to you through new basic commands and augmentation of existing ones. So
right.
If you're looking at playing around with something like that, or even extending what you've got, and you want to stick with basic with stuff that you're familiar with, I'd take a look at something like that, because it'll probably be quite a bit more helpful for you, especially with some of the functionality that's got in it.
Yeah, but my plan was, I was going to do the first version was kind of like a proof of concept. Can I make one? Does it work? Yes. Okay. But the long-term goal is really, I wanted to learn assembly, and I wanted to do it my own assembly version. Mm-hmm. But along the way, I got some help. And when he gave me this stuff, he's like, yeah, well, I'm going to give it to you, and then we'll talk about it, and I'll explain what the source code does, and I'll let everybody, understand what it's doing, and we'll make it a little lesson. And I'm like, oh, that's good. But it just hasn't happened. So it's just kind of put me on hold. And I haven't beat him up for it, but I've also been like, well, I already plan on moving on to phase 2 of my next version. And just now it's my own personal time management that's preventing me from making any progress. So.
Yeah, I totally hear what you're saying, and I totally agree. And I think, you should back up to the point where you understand everything.
Right.
So I'm totally. I mean, I love assembly, but I totally agree with what you're saying.
And it's kind of like what Nick was talking about today. He's writing all of his kind of level editors and tile editors in BASIC, and that was probably the quickest way for him to get that off the ground. Because I don't program in assembly all the time, I couldn't tell you for sure. But is it safe to say that creating a program that works on grid data and stuff, is that easier to start off in BASIC, or if you're really good in assembly, does it just not matter?
I mean, I've done them in both, and I found doing it isn't necessarily difficult. It just depends on how functional you want it to be. I mean, it's pretty easy to create one that just allows you to drop the tiles on it and saves and loads it. I mean, there's one built into Digger 1. But if you want to get into setting things like attributes for assigning attributes to something like right in the program, then it certainly becomes much easier to do in Basic or Basic 09. Under OS 9, certainly, because it's a lot more complicated to have to write all that stuff in assembly.
Yeah. So, and I had done something similar a long time ago, not even realizing it, but I had written a level editor for a game I had done, back in the 80s on the Coco, because I started off by making the rivets phase of Donkey Kong. But it was all done in, SG4. So I had the blue lines and I had the little yellow pegs, and you could jump over the pegs and they would pop. And so I wrote a one-screen version of that. But the code to detect if you were walked over a rivet or not, it kind of didn't know, and it didn't care where the rivets were. The rivets weren't hard-coded. It just peeked the screen. If there was a yellow block, it knew to erase the block and give you points. And so once I had that done, I'm like, well, I can make a whole bunch of screens for this. And so I actually just came up with a little editor. And, and I had designed a whole bunch of levels. So I had this is like, years before there would be Donkey Kong Remix, but I had like 15 different versions of that Pop the Rivet phase in super low res. And I had made a level editor for that. So I guess that's kind of, what's the old saying that, necessity is the mother of invention. If you need to do something, you end up figuring out a way. And so I'm assuming that a lot of people have done that. They've created their own tool set or level editors or engines and stuff like that, because it made sense. If you did something once, why have to do it more than once, right? So
right.
I find that when I need to do a quick and dirty utility program, I'll usually do it in Basic.
Yeah.
I've got a utility program that I wrote for OmniStar that came up with all the data statements for the map.
Okay.
And I did that in Basic. And there's a bunch of stuff on the Shanghai disks where, I had to do certain things, and I got all these little weird utilities in Basic.
One thing that's helped me out a lot was one of the tools that John gave me that I do know how to use is the editor. He gave me his little disk tool, which has a built-in editor that also lets you read and write to disk images. So when I work on my basic games now, I'm using basically like a notepad program on my PC. So I'm no longer doing it in the green screen, because that was a nightmare. Half of that game was done in the green screen, disk basic editor, which sucks. So being able to use a real text editor is like, oh, it's just like you hear the angels singing now.
And for me, the sweet spot is editing the source with the VI text editor in Unix.
Okay.
Which that is not everybody's dream, and I totally understand that, and that's for good reason. But I learned VI back when it was the only game in town, and it was so long ago that I just totally think in it now, and it's just
So is VI kind of like what Edlin was back in the old days of DOS before it went to full screen?
Well, no, it's a little bit better than that.
Okay.
Line-based editors are terrible. Like EditSM Plus, it's got a line-based editor in it, and that's what I used to do Temple of Rom, and I hated it, but it was the only game in town at that point. So, but VI it's more visual. It's more of a what you see is what you get type of thing, at least more than a line-based editor. You can see the whole page of text and stuff, but all the commands are like one character, and so if the command is one character, well, a lot of those commands will make some sort of sense, like A is append and I is insert and D is delete.
Okay.
But, there's only 26 letters,
right.
So some of those commands are not going to make any sense whatsoever.
Kind
and
of
there's
like Control V became paste instead of Control P.
Right. Think of it as an arrow landing.
Yeah.
I guess that's the story, right?
Yeah.
But but VI is it's for old people. It's for old parts, basically.
What did James Jones say here? He said VI is Unix Ed adapted to screen editing by Bill Joy. Okay.
Yep. VI is user friendly. It's just very, very particular about who its friends are.
Yeah, yeah.
Does anybody remember X3, the program for DOS, the file manager?
Yep, I do.
Just the name. I've heard the name. That's it.
Didn't it? It had a text editor, and I think it was a little bit like VI.
No, actually, it doesn't have a built-in text editor. You can view files with it, and you can like do editing, which will do sector editing, but it uses an external editor. It'll use whatever there. It'll use like edit or whatever's on your system.
Oh, so I guess I did have one of those already in my package.
Yeah, you would have had to have something. And actually, if you still like using things like X-Tree, there's a modern version that runs on Windows and OS2 called Z-Tree that will use a whole lot more memory.
Yep.
And I use that regularly. I have 3 or 4 licenses myself.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm in a Facebook group for MS-DOS gaming, and people started asking the question, what did you like better, X-Tree or Norton Commander, or just beating on the C prompt? You know?
X-Tree.
Yeah.
Too weird.
Yeah. Was Norton Commander the one that had the 2 panes on the left and the right?
Yeah, and it had like a command window where you type stuff into it, it's kind of like a hybrid, as I remember, between DOS prompt and a program.
And I use one of those, like a Norton Commander clone for Android. There are plenty of them. And I think they're the best ones around.
Didn't Norton Commander have one of the utilities that was called like disk sort, where you could resort your directory? Because MS-DOS did not automatically do an alpha listing when you typed in a dir. Like the old FAT system, it just created your folders in a as needed basis. So you could have an alpha folder and then a Z folder and then a Bravo folder in that order as you were creating them, right? I'm trying to remember. It's been so many years. Because I think the Coco SDC has that same problem, right? When you put things on the Coco SDC, they're not sorted.
Yeah.
And I think DOS was the same way. Like it didn't auto sort the folders when you did a dir. It showed them in the order they were created, which was not necessarily alphabetical or date or anything else, right? So, and I think that was one of the Norton utilities, was the one to resort. I don't remember what it was called, like DS for directory sort or something like that.
Could be.
Remember when Norton utilities was like magic?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Whoa, look at all this stuff we can do.
I know, yeah. Yeah. Because that became, to me, that was an extension of DOS, because I had the Norton utilities in another folder. I had that appended to my path, so I could just type in those utilities from anywhere in the DOS prompt and do those disk sorts and all that kind of stuff that DOS didn't give us, you know. So, back in the day.
That's why I use defrag quite a bit, because it would defrag the directory structure, and then it would also, you had an option where you could sort the directories on defrag, so that way it would write them out sorted.
Ah, okay. Michael Brandt's watching us on Facebook, and so is James Jones, and so is Ron Delvaux. Hey guys, on Facebook, how are you?
Ron Delvaux.
Ron Delvaux.
Sacré bleu. Oui, oui.
Oui, oui. Welcome to DOS Talk.
Right.
David, how's life? Sir David Rad.
It's going.
It's going. You came across very well on Coco Forever. I listened to you. You guys were all good. I really enjoyed that.
Is that so?
Yes, it is so. It is said.
Oh, I'm just breaking things.
Yeah. I enjoy breaking things. I enjoy fixing things. It's good stuff. Oh. So Michael Brandt says, bonjour.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Now that we're talking about MS-DOS, has anyone ever seen MS-DOS mobile for Windows mobile phones.
MS-DOS what now?
MS-DOS Mobile, it's for Windows Phone.
No, a mobile version of DOS.
Yeah, but actually it's a prank.
Oh, it's a prank. Okay.
It pretends to have Cortana, and you can even start Windows 3.1 and all that. But it's all kind of a joke. So if you get your Windows phone device,
yeah,
try this. It's very good. Whoa, motorbike.
So that's like the old Windows 3.1 file manager type of thing.
Yeah, but if you go click on the internet.
We're on the interwebs.
So it's pretty cool for jokes.
There is your disk quality checker.
What was the question?
Remember,
you're going
a program called Disk Quality Checker.
I do not.
It got uploaded to Delphi, and everybody downloaded it. It's like it's a disk quality checker. Use it to check the quality of your most important disks.
Okay.
And you put it in, and you start it up, and it say now checking the quality of your disk. And then it would make the exact same drive stepping motions of your floppy disk controller that you would hear normally if you were doing initializing a disk formatting.
Oh, like the
you hear that. You know, the exact sound of the drive motors from so it sounded exactly like it was formatting your disk.
Yeah.
And then when it got all done, if you hadn't like rapidly, pulled your disk out of the drive, it would say, "We gotcha."
Oh, that's funny.
The old there's like a digitized voice from Megabug.
Yeah, yeah.
So we put that in there. So it was just a prank.
It was a prank.
It hadn't actually formatted your.
But it made you feel like you screwed the pooch for a little bit there, huh?
Yep. You'd run. I ran it on a disk that I did not care about because I didn't trust what was going on.
Disk quality.
So I heard that and I said, "Oh no, you got to be kidding me now!"
Right.
Yes.
Well, we didn't have. We're on Zoom. I don't know. I'll try to post the Zoom ID. Zoom ID has changed recently, Javier. But what it is now, let me find it and I'll post it on the screen. Where the hell is it? Zoom chat client. Let me copy link. Okay, so I'm pasting the Zoom link in the live chat there. So that will hopefully work for you. Yeah, because at least on DOS we had like check disk, right? So you could run check disk even on a floppy and look for problems in there. We didn't have check disk for disk basic, did we? Other than disk quality checker, huh? DQC.
For all your most important disks.
All your most important disks, yes. We keeping you awake, David?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Sir David Rad. So are we all talked out, man? You guys are awfully quiet tonight.
I have a question.
I can say things.
Go ahead, Tom C.
Conversation.
Just curious if Rick Adams has any thing to tell us about his redoing of Temple of Ram. I'm actually curious to know where he's at with that.
Oh, now there is a subject dear to my heart. On the show today, I was sharing a link to a version of Temple of Ram where I am attempting to put in a proper laser sound, I've never liked the game. The best I could do at the time, back in the day, when you shoot the laser, you hear this little tick a tick a tick a tick a tick tick a tick a tick a tick a tick, and I hated that sound. But that's the best I could do at the time. So now with the Coco 3 timer, I'm trying to do a proper pew pew, sound.
Right.
So I've made an attempt to put that into the original Temple of Rom. It will only work on the Coco 3. And it is not perfect yet. It's not quite where I want it to be. There's a technical problem that I haven't solved there. So I have a number of people looking at that. It works pretty well. It does the pew pew sound, but at the end of it, it kind of clicks and makes sort of a thud sound, and that's not what I want, and I don't know why it's doing that. So what?
Sounds like it pooped the bed.
Anyway, that was more than I needed to know. Okay. Anyway, so that attempt right now, the best I've been able to do is at rickadams.org/downloads/temple.bin, where temple.bin is all in caps. So if you want to go down and download that and try that out, that's my belated Christmas gift to you. So
very good.
Did that also did that fix the 1 pixel scroll that you had mentioned before, where it was off by a pixel, where it clipped?
Yes, it fixes that too. Yeah.
Okay.
That was amazing. That was something I couldn't figure out how to fix it back in the day, and fortunately during testing, Radio Shack didn't find that bug. So I got away with it, but it's always bothered me. Every time I see a screenshot of Temple of Rom, it's like, I see that pixel, it's not filled in.
Well, so here's the funny part, right? So you've mentioned this before, that you put version 1.00.00 because it's never going to change. It's on a ROM. Well, now that you're changing it, are you going to update that version number to like 1.01.00 or something like that?
I have already.
Okay.
And I've taken off the copyright messages having to do with Tandy, because they don't have that license anymore.
Right.
The legal papers were drawn up in such a way that it referred to me after 2 years.
Okay.
But
so any day now.
So after 2 years, what happens is that I don't get any royalties anymore, but they can sell it. But the license did go back to me, so now at this point I can do anything I wanted with it.
So now it's copyright Rick Adams.
Right.
All right.
So I changed the copyright and everything. So
is this what you're considering Temple of Rom 2, or is
no? That's not quite it. Okay. That's sort of the original Temple of Rom buffed up with just a little bit for a Color Computer 3. It's got a few slight improvements for a Color Computer 3. It does the right colors and that sort of.
Oh, did you do like the bomb threat routine where he goes to P mode 3 and changes the palettes, or P mode 1? Okay.
Yep.
So it's RGB friendly now.
Yeah. So you can switch between those with Shift, Enter, and Clear.
Okay.
You can switch between color sets. But Temple of Rom 2, what I have in mind is expanding the old one, more features, and I'm sort of working on what that might mean. So I'm hoping to expand the game, and so that's not done yet. There's 2 ways I can do that. One is to take the existing Temple of Rom and buff it up and put more stuff in it, and then the other way is to code it from the ground up. And I'm doing both at once. And so far, going from the ground up is doing a lot better than changing the original coding for Temple of Rom. I tried to change the Temple of Rom disassembly so that it had 16 colors, and that didn't work. It crashed like crazy, and I couldn't figure out why. And now actually I know why. So I know why that didn't work. But, so at this point, I'm sort of trying to go at it one end against the other just to see, and I'm not in a terrible hurry. So it's not like I have any deadline, although it would be really nice to have something by CoCoFest. But so that's where I am on that.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to it. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're too kind, and thank you.
So what more things could I could have like obstacles, like blocks that go like this.
Yeah.
Like chompy teeth blocks.
Yeah.
That go like that you got to get between without getting crushed.
Booby traps. Booby traps.
You could do that.
Yeah.
You get the whole, the whole Indiana Jones thing going on there.
Yeah, well, that starts to get into like Venture, right? Because like on the ColecoVision and the arcade, you had the Venture where the walls kind of came in and out. You had to time yourself to get.
And then do I expand the existing maze, or do I add to it, or do I do a completely different maze that's completely different throughout? I do not know the answer to that question.
How did you design that first maze? Did you just write it out on graph paper, or did you plot it by hand?
That is exactly what I did, yes.
Yeah.
On 9 pieces of graph paper. And if you look at the map, you can tell where the graph paper, there's certain sections where there's one little bridge between the section. You can, you look at it and you can totally see, yeah, those were the edges of the graph paper. If you look at the map, you'll see. It'll make sense to you.
Okay.
And I never recall throwing away those pieces of graph paper. Theoretically, they're in my house somewhere, but I can't find them. They're probably
right behind the Zabruta tapes.
They're right next to the the floppies with the source to bomb thread on it. So.
And there, Ken's saying add the Gallagher part. But weren't you saying like one of the areas you wanted to have like a playable arcade game inside the room or something?
Right. I wanted to have a Space Invaders game.
Okay.
There's one room that is huge. It's exactly the size of the screen.
Okay.
It's like in the upper left of the maze.
Okay.
And I was hoping to have like a full Space Invaders game going on in there. You know, with the things that go coming up, down, and the things shooting up, and you had to maneuver your way through that without hitting anything. Well, that was too ambitious. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, what if you did it with just using some of your already existing assets, like some of the other monsters from the game, and just populate the monsters in that pattern, like a space, like rows of monsters?
That's a thought. That might be something. Yeah, I don't know.
The possibilities are only limited by your imagination.
Looks like Chris has a collection over there.
And did Javier join us? Hey, Chris Shilliday is here. Hey, Chris.
I am here.
And Javier has joined us.
You hear me?
Javier is our Apple guy, and Chris is a multi-system guy. How you doing, guys? Our Florida Retro friends.
Yep.
Doing
Happy
awesome.
New Year. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
What's new and exciting with you, Javier?
I've been playing. I just got yesterday a very nice piece of hardware. It's called Applesauce. You heard about it?
Applesauce?
Yep. It's I think you guys have something called Kyroflux or something like that. It's a hardware to really copy any floppy at the bit level, I think it's called, at the completely 100%
like at the block level of the disk or something, huh?
Yeah, exactly. They call it a flux. I'm not sure.
Level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bitstream level, yeah. And it's really good. Really good.
Older products are Cryoflux and Catweasel, and there's a couple others. So.
And does it copy it to other physical floppies? Does it make like a disk image that you can put on a modern device, or both? Or
it makes disk images right now. They're kind of big, and they just came out with a device, an SD reader that reads those images. It's called .was.
Okay.
Like Wozniak. And so you can use it from an SD, and there's a lot of games that were uncopyable. You know, the protection were was very difficult. Now we can play them, and we're going to be able to write them back to a floppy.
Okay, so they can now start archiving these and reproducing them too.
Yeah. So they've been archiving it for the last 6 months, maybe. It's a lot of archives. So with the .was format.
Okay.
And it's really good. So I was so happy. Well, I don't have too many original discs, so I didn't bought it in the first batch. I prefer people that really have a lot of collections to get the hardware to do the backup. But now they got the second round, and I just went ahead and grabbed one.
Neat.
It is cool. It is really cool. So I've been playing with that thing. What else? I got a Darth Vader, you know, an Apple II Black.
Okay.
And it's a little flunky right now, so I'm fixing it. I'm learning because I never had one of those. I'm a 2C guy.
Now this is this is the full size Apple II with the keyboard and the expansion slots and everything else.
That's right. It's weird, man.
it's in black. It was sold by Bell and Howell.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an actual Apple product then?
Yes, it was an actual Apple product.
Yeah.
It was. It's Apple branded?
Yep. Well, it says mainly Bell and Howell, but it does say by Apple on it.
Okay. Interesting.
Like the TDP 100?
Yes, like a TDP 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
So those are the little things that I've been playing with, you know, and fixing things and, you know, doing my reproductions. I've done a bunch of repro games lately also. So, but other than that, you know, just enjoying vacations just like you guys, you know, the holiday. Taking a break.
Yeah, it's been nice. Yeah, I think 2018 ended pretty strong. I think in most of our personal lives and in our retro lives. I think 2019, it just feels like this is a great year for a lot of things, especially like on the Coco side of stuff, but hopefully all around in all of our retro hobby collecting stuff, hopefully new hardware, new software, new discoveries, you know, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, I read about this guy that is coming out with some software to make games. Let me look. There's like a new software that somebody came up with that it's that you write it once and you can save it to different formats, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about it.
Well, we've been talking about this arcade game designer platform, which has been used to what was the core system for that? The ZX Spectrum?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's been a whole bunch of games that were written for the ZX Spectrum with this engine called the Arcade Game Designer. And so they've been porting this Arcade Game Designer to run on the color computer in the Dragon. So people are now porting all those Spectrum games that were written in that tool set to run on the Coco and Dragon. So they've done a couple of rounds. So we've gotten a few dozen old, you know, vintage retro arcade games ported to the Coco and Dragon now, and there's like 150 or 170 of them that they're going to be going through and porting. So our software library is going to grow pretty soon.
Nice.
Right? Yeah.
All right, I found it. This is called 8-bit Unity, cross-platform SDK for 8-bit games.
Oh, 8-bit Unity, huh?
Yep.
Interesting.
It's where is that's it? 8, the number 8. bit-unity.com.
Okay.
So if you're going to check it, it's Commodore 64, Apple, and Atari so far.
So it's 6502 based stuff.
Yep.
All right. So let me.
You guys saw that? Talking about that, you guys saw that Netflix new thing that they did in? Now that you mentioned that UK computer, what's his name? The
ZX Spectrum. ZX.
Yeah, the Spectrum.
Yeah.
They did Black Mirror.
Okay.
About that Spectrum thing that's supposed to be in the 80s, and this guy, it's a programmer, and Netflix released actually the software, the games in Spectrum.
Okay.
That's funny. I have none of those, so I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. 8-bit Unity. You know, it looks interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to. It would be nice to have like a one and done thing where you can write the thing one time and just have the engine output the binaries to the different systems and have all the heavy lifting done for us, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's kind of cool. That's neat.
Those are the things I heard. The grapevine.
Yeah, and because all those systems run off the same core processor, it's probably easier to implement that code than others. Only you just have to figure out how to, manipulate the graphics and sound based on each system.
Yeah.
8-bit dude production, huh? You have some great game ideas for 8-bit era computers such as the Apple II, Atari XL, XE, and Commodore 64, but you don't have any clue about assembly language programming? 8-bit Unity is the only cross-platform C language SDK for the CC65 compiler, which allows writing your game only once and then deploy it on all of those platforms. This is something I would probably want to do for Cosmic Aliens, because I long term I wanted to have a version of my game on other systems too. So this might be a tool to use for that, where I can have a one and done. I write it for this and just output it to all those systems. That's cool. I'm bookmarking this 8-bit Unity.
Yeah. I mean, you never know.
You never know. I like that. I like the one and done approach to that. Yeah. And what about our good friend Christopher David? What's going on, sir?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah.
Oh, okay. I had to log off there or jump out and get a different headphone.
How you been?
I'm never prepared for this stuff. Every time I go to grab a headphone, I can't find the Bluetooth dongle, or it's not charged. So I probably tried to jump in on these meetings 5 or 6 times, and I wasn't prepared. So
okay, listen, I'm never prepared either, so don't let that stop.
Real tech guy, I am, right?
Are you a programmer?
I am not a programmer. I am a system admin for Florida circuit courts.
Oh.
I got a couple of things I need wiped from the record if you get a chance to do that. So
I'll tell you what, they are sending us through some FBI and FDLE training right now about data. They're worried about that, exactly what you're talking about. So
yeah, I got a couple of minor infractions in my past I'd like to have go away. So
I know.
Oh, you already know. You've already found them. So
I work mostly on the hyper-converged infrastructure side of things. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of a product called Nutanix.
Mm-mm.
It's a VMware replacement, but it's mostly software.
Okay.
Software-based virtualization. So, but anyhow, that's what I've been doing with my life and buying more of these things and getting into debt and making the wife mad.
Ah, excellent.
So,
yeah. Do you tune up on the electric chair over there?
What's that? No. Ron, I think I subscribed to your page, Ron's Garage, I believe. So
yeah,
I do all kinds of junk, don't I?
I think I may see you on my page. I have a Facebook page, TRS-80 Model 234.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I like going there.
Yeah, there's a lot of people really picking up interest in the TRS-80 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was the only guy out there for the longest time, but I found that's not the case.
And your first love was the TI-99, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's right behind me here, hiding with a bunch of stuff. I'm working right now. I've got I don't show this side of the room because it's messy. That's where I actually work. So
I love it. That's the original TI monitor?
Yeah, I have one. Right now it's hooked up to a Commodore 1702. And then in the back there, I've got a Coco 3 with
CM8.
The CM8. And but I do have the TI monitor. I smoked a capacitor in it, as we're all familiar with. So I've got to get that working. But right now my project, I'm playing with the Tippy, the TI Pi. If you're familiar with the TI Pi, the Raspberry Pi.
No, not. We've got a Cocoa Pi, so.
It's the same thing. They're pretty much all the same. I am a sucker for buying anything that comes out Wi-Fi, Y3232, Pi related, emulators. I buy them all and never use them. So I've been playing with the Mies on the Model 4D.
Okay.
I bought one of the Mies, which is a pretty cool little unit, but I wish I had more time to play with the retro stuff, to be honest with you. I follow you guys and I follow the Retro Computer Club, but honestly, I never get time anymore to mess with it. I wish I could.
Life has a way of getting in the way of what we want to do with our lives, right? So
yeah, exactly. Kids going to college and costing me a lot of money.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Do you repair your own stuff?
Yeah, I do. Yep, I sure do.
Yeah.
I've got bags of caps around here. I've been getting lucky lately. I've been finding Model 3s and 4s on Craigslist. And I went out to a guy's house in DeLand, Florida, and looked at a Model 3. It was beautiful. It's sitting back here, up there somewhere. And he turned it on, telling me how great it worked, and it literally let out the smoke right there.
The magic smoke.
The magic smoke, and without me saying a word, he came right down off the price. And I said, "Yeah, I guess I'll do it." And so that one's back up and running. I recapped it and pulled the RIFA caps out and recapped it. And,
is it hard to fix the two pots on the side?
I think you're talking about the CR210 pot, if I'm correct. I may be wrong.
Probably.
I'll be lucky. I'll be honest with you. I've been really lucky, and I have not had that pot go out yet. But I know what you're talking about. It's on the back side of the board, and I believe it's C210 or CR210. I have not replaced it yet. Just getting into the regular paper film caps. That's really all I've replaced so far. And but I've got a TI monitor back here that's posing a little bit of a challenge. I replaced the caps and I can't get the video back. So, not sure what's up with that. I'm not a real monitor guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not any type of hardware or solder kind of thing. So that's a useful skill to have. It's becomes necessary. You have to start doing this kind of self surgeries at some point in time on these older systems. So it's definitely a useful thing. Hey, Joe Stroh-Snyder just said, hey, finally caught an After Dark when it was on. Hey, Joe, how are you? Welcome to After Dark. Yeah, cool. Hey, Javier, when is our next meeting? Is our next meeting in Pompano again? Was this a Stewart-hosted event?
Yeah, on the 26th, I think it is. I also want to go to the Orlando one. I think there's going to be an Orlando one.
Okay.
Or we want to. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I got to check back with my library. Last time I was there, because I have a new library that opened up just right down the street from me, but their meeting room wasn't available yet. But it's a new year now, so I should check back with them because I've been wanting to get something going because I'm halfway between both you guys. I'm in the middle of South and Central.
Yep.
So, and it'd be very convenient for me not to have to drive hardly anywhere.
Did you say Cooper is going to have another one in Orlando?
Cooper? Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's where I met Chris.
Yeah.
I met Chris at Cooper's last event. That was the middle of last year, I think. And Michael Brandt came over too. John T. Robbs was there too, another guy from the Coco community who actually lived not far from Cooper. It was a good representation. Chris had his TI set up. We had an Atari 800 set up. We had Cooper had his Apple II Platinum, steroid edition. There was some nice showing us of machines there. So excellent. Yeah, I'm glad you told me about that 8-bit Unity. That's something I'm definitely going to want to tap into.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting for you guys that are good programming. I would say go ahead and do it, man. I wish I could program.
Yeah, well, it looks like it looks like you have to do it in C, and then it converts it. But yeah, I mean, C shouldn't. Hey, Michael Brandt just said, when is Cooper's event?
Well, let's talk to Cooper. I'm just,
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Right now, the good thing about the 26th is that we're gonna go to meeting, and after the meeting, one of the guys has a new game system. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a big new thing it's like a pinball, but it's 2 big screens, 2 LCD screens, and he bought it, and it has like tons of emulated.
Okay, so it's a hardware. It's like it's a physical pinball machine looking thing, but it's got screens.
Exactly.
Now, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And so
we're gonna go to his house. We're gonna play in that one.
That sounds really cool. That sounds really cool. That's basically like a MAME cabinet for pinball machines at this point.
Correct.
Where you can just drop in any game you want to play and just play it.
Yeah. It's a guy that is doing them, and he bought it. It's expensive as hell.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in another group that's called the MAME Arcade Cabinet Builders. That I've kind of I'm a fly on the wall there, and I just watch this shit because I'm never gonna have one. But I like it when they have the digital marquee, where they actually every time you change the game, they have a whole separate little LED just for the marquee, and so you can have the actual marquee come up for every game you play. I mean, that's some badass shit right there, you know.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. I wanna see that. Bad. So we'll see that one.
What do you guys know about these 1-ups?
They look like shit to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen them. I've seen them in Walmart. I was never a fan, even when they were announced, because the whole thing to me, here's my thought on it. If they were $100 or less, then it might be a nice thing to have. But at $300, I think you're paying too much and getting too little.
Right.
You know, it's about a 1/3 scale system. The quality isn't that great, and because it is, I mean, I'll give them credit. They're legitimately licensing the titles, but because of that, you get, 2 to 4 to maybe a half a dozen ones per system. So it's. Do you remember the tiny arcades? Those little $20 fake plastic cabinets that look like the arcade machines?
Yeah, I've got 3 or 4 of them back here.
Yeah, and so. It's basically it's a much more expensive version of Tiny Arcade because you're gonna have to buy multiples of them, and they're $300 a pop. So I couldn't see buying the Tiny Arcades at $20 a pop because it's like, dude, how many of these things do you freaking need? It's a novelty, And even at $20 a pop, to me that's not a wise use of my money. When you get, if you want to have them all, you're spending hundreds of dollars for these little freaking toys,
I've been considering. I see a lot of cabinets, like Pac-Man cabinets. Craigslist, and doing something with the RetroPie in a full-size arcade cabinet.
Yeah, I would love to have I'd love that. Yeah, is that it right there, the Tiny Arcade?
I think so. And I hack it. You heard about it?
Oh yeah, they can be hacked to run MAME and other kinds of things.
No, this one. The only thing is that there's 4 games in there.
Oh, that's right. Because the chip has.
Yeah, I was talking to you about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's cool as hell because you can have one game over there.
Yeah.
And then turn it off, put it the other way.
Is it a dip switch?
And it's another game
the joystick. Over there. It's wired to the 4 points of the joystick.
Ah.
Each direction selects a different game.
Okay. So the same chip will be used for 4 different cabinets. They just change the stickers on them.
Yep.
Yeah, and inside there's 4 sets of pads, and whatever pad is shorted, that particular game comes up.
As a default.
So that hack is basically running through the joystick, and each direction is shorting a different pad set to select whatever game you want. And it's and then you just turn it off and hold it in a particular direction, and when you turn it on, you're closing one particular set of pads. And it boots at that particular game.
Okay.
So it's a cool hack, and it's just a couple of wires basically that you got to solder.
Yeah.
From the pads to the joystick. Yeah.
If I knew, I would have saved like $80.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw those things, I was like, yeah, it's neat, but no, you know what? It's just I'm not buying more shit like this. This is it's cool. I mean, if you had one favorite game, then maybe you get one, but if you wanted to... Yeah, look at that. So
they just went to Pac-Man. Kong, man. I love Donkey Kong, and they don't have it. I'm waiting for that.
It's because Nintendo sucks.
Yeah.
I've got 3 of them. I've got the Pac-Man, the Galaga, or Galaxians, rather, and Space Invaders.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a fourth one out there. I don't remember what it is, but I agree. I wish it was Donkey Kong. That would be great. But you know, it's a little keychain, size thing. It's a novelty, and
it is.
Some of these systems that you're talking about, like the 1UP and such, I'd be curious as to the quality of the.
Yeah, it's a particle board cabinet. It's not a real good one.
Not the physical quality, but the quality of the emulation, because some of the units out there, like that Commodore unit, is not, well, any kind of emulation isn't going to be 100%. A CoCo emulator is not exactly like a CoCo in every possible way, but just for gaming and stuff, some of them are sluggish. They don't respond like the actual unit. Certain things that could be fixed. Of course, it's never going to be perfect, but I'm curious about the quality of the.
Well, at some point in time, what I'm really hoping for is when when the fad is over and they end up on clearance. If I could get one for $49.99 or something like that, I would pick one up for shits and giggles, because to me that's about all it's worth.
Certain things that could be fixed. Of course, it's never going to be perfect.
Yeah. Somebody just joined us and we hear the sound. We're getting an echo here.
I'm curious about the quality of the.
Well, at some point in time, what I'm really hoping for is when they. Okay, that's Barracuda. Barracuda, you got to mute your sound. You just brought in a sound loop to us. I just muted you, but you gotta make sure the sound's not coming out of your speakers or whatever it is, or put on headphones with your necks in the background there. Yeah, no, that's cool. I like it, but I guess because I have an extremely finite amount of money. They're not appealing to me, those 1UPs, So
I'd like to build my own cabinet. There's a lot of like you were saying, you're part of that cabinet building group, and I've seen some really cool cabinets. I've seen some really real dogs too. But with the right tools, you can, and a little elbow grease and some hard work, you can build your own cabinet fairly cheaply.
Yeah, that's been that was on my wish list for a while, but I just ran out of room now too. So it's just like, and I got no more room for a MAME cabinet in here now. I got way too much shit.
I would gladly pay a finder's fee if any of you guys can find me Star Castle.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you remember Star Castle.
Yeah, that was a vector-based game, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great game too.
It had the different colored tape over the glass, like for the different colors and stuff, like the film.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe so. And then there was one called Tempest.
Oh yeah, Tempest is a classic Atari. Yeah.
Oh, I know a really good Easter egg for Tempest. My buddy was in college, and this one girl he went to school with, that was in one of her classes, dated the guy who wrote Tempest. And he told her a hack that she told to him that he told to me, and I went into the arcade, and it actually works. Remember when you popped a quarter in Tempest and spun the wheel all the way to the right? You could skip like the first 8 levels or so.
Yeah.
And then level 11, we used to call it the bowling alley because it was a big plane.
Okay.
That went off into the distance.
Yeah.
You make it to the first blue-colored bowling alley level, and you get your score close to the last 2 digits being 11, and then you get over the top of those spikes, and you just tap the spike because you can get 1 point for just one shot on a spike, and you work your score up so your last 2 digits are 11. And when you get it there, then you just let go of the machine. You let the machine kill you, because killing you doesn't give you any points, and the score remains 11. And if the game ends on that first bowling alley level with the last 2 digits of 11, it gives you a random number of credits between 2 and 40.
Wow. I think that was in Ready Player One. He talked about that.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. I think he used that hack in Ready Player One. Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't catch that. I did see Ready Player One.
Well, not in the movie, but in the book.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, I actually went into an arcade and I had to play it 2 or 3 times to actually get it to happen. But then what you have to do is you have to let the game end, go through the demo twice. And the second time after the demo ends, that's when the trigger because if you pull out a quarter and pop it in right away and hit play, it's not going to give you the free credits. You have to actually let the computer finish killing you and let it go through the demo twice, and that's when it actually gives you the credits. And it was pretty neat because the machine started going tick, 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 tick.
Oh, it sounds like a Rick Adams game. Ticket, 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 ticket.
I think that programmer brought Rick in for that part.
Yeah, right. That's funny. So Atari is infamous. Atari's got an infamous history of Easter eggs in their games. Yeah.
They got the original one.
Let's unmute Barracuda. Barracuda, are you back with us?
How's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah. When you first joined it, you brought in a whole sound loop. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying
That's
to
okay.
figure this out.
Welcome. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Yeah, Happy New Year to all of you.
Is that a Next Cube? Looks like a Next Cube back there.
Yeah.
You lucky dog.
Yeah.
So what are you into?
The box. I haven't had time to play with it yet.
What are you into?
Repairing anything, from cars to fixing things around the house, and recently retro computers.
Just graduated, huh?
Consoles. So mostly fixing the hardware. I don't spend a lot of time playing with games or software. I wish I spent more time doing that, but for right now, I'm focusing on fixing things, restoring stuff.
That's cool.
A noble endeavor.
Absolutely.
So you got a couple of XTs up there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
most of my stuff is not on display. It's in boxes and in shelves. I don't have a good display like some of you do.
That's a challenge, and I think that's what David Lafanous has been saying. He wants to try to find a way to balance displayability and usability, right? To have this perfect thing where you can see it and use it, and it's kind of hard to do.
So if you don't have the space, it's hard.
Do you have any TRS-80 stuff or CoCos?
I do. I have it's in a box. I have a CoCo. I have a couple. I have a TRS-80 Model 1 that I recently worked on. Let me show you. It's the Model 1.
Yeah.
And I did a bunch of work inside. I designed and 3D printed a couple of brackets for some upgrade PCB boards that are in there.
Oh, cool.
I replaced some ribbon cable. It's not built very well. The PCB is it's not the best quality, so a lot of the cables broke, and some of the PCB it's just not as good quality as other computers. So I've had to work quite a bit on this one. I designed and printed this door.
Oh, neat.
It was missing, and so this is what I just I recently finished. So it looks nice.
That's
and
good.
the next part of the project is working on the monitor. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but the image is a little skewed to one of the sides. I don't know much about CRT monitors, so that's gonna be a challenge.
Where do
be
you
careful around them. You can get hurt. You can die working on those.
Be very careful.
Yeah.
I know that.
Where do you live?
I'm in Davie, West Davie.
That's Florida.
Oh, okay.
Southwest Florida.
Oh,
Davie, where the cowboys and horses roam.
Did you do the lowercase modification for the Model 1?
No, this one doesn't have lowercase modification. It has a numeric pad ROM upgrade, and it has another upgrade board that it has something to do with data with the cassette tapes. It improves the way it reads the tapes. but it doesn't have the lowercase modification.
That's the one thing I did with mine was the lowercase mod. I was working at Radio Shack at the time. The tech said, why don't you do the lowercase mod? And I said, I don't know how to do it. And he grabbed a RAM chip and a piece of wire, and he went here, and he gave it to me. And he said, piggyback this one on top of the RAM chip. He showed me where it was on one of the machines he was working on. And he said, solder a wire from this pin to here, and you're done. And it worked.
Now that you say that, I do see a chip that is on top of another one. I might have it. I don't know a whole lot about this computer, so I'll probably look into that. I haven't had time to play with it. I mean, it wasn't working because one of the ribbon cables was broken. I recently finished fixing it. It works now. But I haven't had time to play with the with any.
Speaking of ribbon cables, you just reminded me of something. All right, so I had to work on a 2012 27-inch iMac. So I swapped out a hard drive for one of my clients. And in previous iMacs I worked on, the glass bezel was held on by little magnets, and you could use little suction cups and just pull the glass off, and then you can get to the parts and you start taking it apart. Now they're using like double-sided tape. They're using like these little adhesive strips that go around the bezel. So the first thing I do is you got to carefully cut all the adhesives and then get rid of that, take off the screen, get to it. Then you have to buy the replacement adhesive to put your screens back on and everything else. So I had put this monitor back on earlier this week, Tuesday. It was Tuesday, right? Today she calls me. She goes, the screen fell off. The freaking monitor fell off the iMac, and when it falls, it rips. If you've ever worked on an iMac, the panel has only got like 2 leads that connect it to the system board, and there's these really small ribbon cables with these flat edge connectors. And when it fell, it just pulled those damn cables right out. So I'm gonna have to go back and see her on Monday, and I don't think it did any serious damage, but it's just like, what the fuck, I mean,
did you do the? Did you use the same adhesive, or did you use...
Well, we bought a kit. I bought a kit from somewhere online that had the little pizza wheel. It had like a little plastic pizza cutter that you use to break the adhesives, because it was like the 1/8 inch, all the way around. So I had to cut the old adhesive out, and then I scraped off all the residue of the old stuff and put on the new adhesive, and it held.
That's the proper way to do it.
Yeah.
OWC sells that. They sell a kit.
Yeah, that's what I bought, and it's got the torque screwdrivers and all that shit, right? So
yeah, it's got everything you need.
Yeah, but it freaking fell off.
What year did you say the iMac was?
What's that? 2012, late 2012.
Oh, okay. Because I've heard that Mac is doing really bad design that doesn't allow you to fix the computers as easily as before.
No, yeah, they get harder to work on every year.
Yeah, I think that really sucks.
Yeah, they don't want you working on them. They want you to bring them. They either want you to replace them or bring them to them.
Yeah,
yeah, it's really cool sitting on your desktop, but it's not like working on a standard PC where you just pop the case off and everything's standard and all cases are the same.
Unless you make a Hackintosh.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, well.
Let me tell you guys what happened to me just recently with my MacBook Pro. The mouse stopped working. It would work intermittently. Sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. So I couldn't use the laptop. I got really frustrated. I was ready to pay someone to replace the battery because it was urgent for me. The battery, or because it might have been the battery that was swelling. At least that was what I was reading online. Or the trackpad. Anyways, I decided to upgrade the system, the OS. I didn't want to do it because I do web development. I have all my tools installed, and every time I upgrade, a lot of those things break. So I decided to go ahead and upgrade the OS. And guess what? The mouse now works. I mean, I really think that they might do that on purpose. They want you to use the latest OS.
So, no, they do it. They do.
No, we don't do that. This is what is this? Bash Apple Hour? You know, I had a 2013 iMac, and I had the same issue with the intermittent mouse. And I think upgrading the OS because it kind of just the problem went away, and it may have been due to an OS upgrade. But you know, sometimes Macs are finicky. Sometimes I've been working on them now for 4 years. I'm starting to learn quite a bit about the innards. I used to know Windows pretty well, and so now, you know, because I work constantly on Mac, my home machine is a Mac, and I work on a Mac at work, which is at home, and so it's interesting getting to learn the ins and outs of Mac OS. Most of it's better than Windows, but there are certain things about Mac OS that that Windows doesn't have problems with. For example, you have 100 gigs of free space, and you delete 10 gigs, so now you should have 90 gigs of free, or 110 gigs of free space. But you look, and you still only have 100. And it's like, what's going on here? On a PC, whenever you deleted a file, as long as you emptied the trash, it freed the space up.
Right.
But on a Mac has Spotlight Search, which indexes the drive and keeps the drive indexed, so when you search, it's real fast.
Right.
Searching. And that kind of keeps track of the free space too. And so the instant you delete something, it doesn't necessarily free up the space when you go and look. So, but if you just reboot the computer, it always checks the actual free space on boot, and it straightens it out. But it's little quirky stuff like that kind of can throw you off, and you got to kind of stumble across the answer sometimes.
Yeah, at work, when we have a system that when we try to uninstall it from a customer's computer, if we just send the preferences folder to the trash, and you launch the program again, it actually finds the preferences files that are still on the trash and uses them. You need to delete it and then empty the trash, so it actually does want to create the new files.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's why a lot of the troubleshooting says, put it in the trash and then empty the
trash. Yeah.
And then in some cases, like if you delete your keychain or something like that, you have to reboot the computer because it just kind of reads it once on boot and it never really visits the hard drive again for keychain stuff. A keychain is kind of almost like a password manager.
Yeah.
It encrypts username, like login passwords, credit card info, stuff like that. It's all encrypted into a keychain file. And sometimes things break, and to fix it is to delete the keychain.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Little stuff, almost like Windows has registry.
Yeah, yeah. There's always a little
something.
Little hack here and there to
Yep.
Clear your browser cache, right?
There's a software called Onyx. Whenever you want to clean up your Mac, just look for that. It's called Onyx, ONYX. And run it. It just runs a lot of things that cleans up the cache and all.
Okay.
It really works.
So it's kind of like the CC Cleaner. Like Windows has got a program called CC Cleaner.
CC Cleaner.
Yeah.
But this is it's open source, so it's not like from a company or anything. It's
okay,
free.
That's cool.
And that's really good. And the guy maintains it from a long time, so I've been using that for a long time. And I run it once, like every 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Just run it all the maintenance, and it cleans things and all the things that it's like Linux stuff that it does.
Yeah.
So it's really
one
good.
thing that I've done that I think has helped a lot is I stay up to date with software updates, and I never turn the machine off. I put it to sleep when I'm not using it, but I do not turn it off. And while it's asleep, there's a whole slew of housekeeping chores that the machine will do, aside from backing up the computer and updating cloud stuff, contacts, calendars, notes, reminders, photos. The list is endless of all the cloud stuff that syncs nowadays. But it can stay up to date with all that stuff too. And it just does normal like housekeeping stuff, because the operating system on its own will clean up caches and things like that when they get out of hand. Sometimes no. But just leaving it on all the time, I think, helps with mine. And I had I had my last Mac for 3 years and never had a problem, and I've had this one for coming up on a year, and I've never had a problem. And I migrated all the data over to the new machine from the old machine. But that was just data migration. That wasn't the whole operating system and everything.
I remember the days when I used to reinstall the system. It was Windows 98, or I don't remember. Every 3 months, I would have to reinstall the whole system.
Oh yeah.
With this computer that I have, since I bought it like 5 years ago, I haven't had to do that.
Yeah.
I actually had XP installed for 7 years without.
That's Microsoft's version of clearing the cache. Just reload the operating system.
Wipe and restore.
Yeah.
A lot of cool things about Mac though that I really like.
Yeah.
Like internet recovery. If say you put a brand new hard drive in, you can boot to a.
Yeah, I had to do that on that iMac I worked on.
Right, because the drive you're putting in is fresh, and a system that's installed, when the operating system is installed, there's also a second very small, like 1.2 gig partition. That is the recovery console that you can get to with Command R while you're booting. But if that recovery console isn't there, it's going to do internet recovery, which basically it creates a partition in RAM and then downloads the recovery console and boots to that within RAM. And from there, you can download and install the OS.
Yeah, the only thing I wish it did was give you a progress bar, because it just says this may take a while, and there's a spinning globe, but you have no idea how long it's going to take or when it's going to be done. So
yeah,
but
5
I
to
use
20
that.
minutes depending on your internet connection.
And another one I like a lot too is, which is a great Mac tool, but it's Carbon Copy Cloner. I use that all the time to, you can basically have a live bootable OS disk that you can then clone over and create a new system from. So it's a great tool.
Mm-hmm.
Jason the Cocoa Man has joined us, or he was. I'm not sure if he's here or if he's gone now. Brian Weasler's watching us on Facebook. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Back in the day, did you guys use Ghost to clone?
Norton Ghost, yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was the original.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not only did I use Ghost, but I also used a Ghost cast server, where you could piggyback that off of a Windows server and set up, like when I used to reimage my classrooms back when I was teaching back around 2001 and stuff. So I had Ghost cast running on a Windows server. Your computer's all booted up to PXE boot. They found the server, and I could just load an image, and I could image my entire classroom at once, and it took like 20 minutes. Even over back on hubs before we had switches, I still imaged the whole classroom in like 20 minutes. So it was pretty cool.
Was RAID ever very effective to make sure you had everything?
Well, a lot of people think RAID's a backup. RAID is not really a backup. RAID just compensates for a drive failure. So if you've got like a mirrored volume, if one physical drive fails, you don't lose your entire system. So RAID provides redundancy in the hard drive hardware, but it's not a backup.
I never used it, but
yeah,
I thought maybe it was for backup.
Aren't there certain configurations?
It's a hardware backup, is what it is. It's not a file level backup. It's a disk level backup. Yeah, I just dealt with that on somebody too. Who they had a mirrored NAS drive, and they thought that one of them was copied over to the other. So, in a way, because what a RAID does is it's writing, like especially in a mirror, it's writing duplicate information to two physical drives at once, and it's using them as one logical unit. But if one drive fails, it just lets you keep running on the other one. But they're two mirrored copies of the same data. But it's not a backup. It's not really, because if you deleted a file from one disk, it's deleted on both, because whatever happens on both at the same time, Does that make sense?
No, because it's still a backup, isn't it?
No, it's not a backup though.
No.
It's two identical disks working.
You can't go to a second disk and have everything.
No, because it looks like one disk to your operating system. Your operating system sees it as a single logical disk.
Oh, so that's why you can't go to the separate one and see anything.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Right. So
the point is if one of the drives fails, you still have a copy.
Right. Yeah. It only addresses hardware failure. There's hardware redundancy, but there's no data redundancy necessarily.
So when you replace the bad drive, does it copy over the data?
It has to rebuild the mirror. And if you do it while things are online, it takes a while and it runs slower, but you could do an offline rebuild too, like just boot into your RAID BIOS and do a rebuild that way and rebuild it offline. Either way, it takes a while.
Didn't RAID used to be always SCSI drives, or?
It started with SCSI, yeah. I mean, that's when I became familiar with it, but it might have existed before then too.
Because they were faster then?
Yep, yeah, they were faster, and SCSI supported, original SCSI 1 supported 7 devices, and then SCSI 2 supported 15. Mm-hmm. So that was the first controller that could support enough disks to let us do these, arrays.
Yeah, I was like, I used to play with a RAID system when it was RAID 5, I think it was, and I had 8 drives on it. So
yeah.
I had spanned across 7 in a hot spare.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It was kind of cool.
I like Time Machine, which is built-in backup software in Mac OS.
Yeah, that's another good. Yeah, there's a few things I will give Mac credit for. That Time Machine's one of them.
Yeah.
Another thing I like about the Mac OS, especially with Carbon Copy Cleaner, or not Carbon Copy Cloner, if I've got a cloned external hard drive, I can boot that hard drive on just about any Mac hardware, new or old, and it just boots. It just boots. It just doesn't care, right? So like on a Windows, if I try to boot a Windows hard drive on a different chipset, it's not going to boot, But the Mac kernel is just able to figure out whatever it's on, and it just boots, and it just runs, It's just... It's
Instead of it just works, it just
yeah. So that's nice to have that. I have that universal bootable external disk that I can run with.
Is it an external hard drive or a?
Yeah, an external hard drive. Yeah.
You can do that on a flash drive too, can't
you? Sort of, but not completely, because you can't partition flash drives because they're not hard drives. So it won't let you create your recovery partition and things like that.
Oh,
so I use an actual external hard drive.
When I had Windows 7 back in the day, I used to have a CD that I made. It was called Windows Live.
Yeah.
You could save your Windows system if it broke. It had utilities on it and things.
Okay.
Do you remember seeing that, or anyone?
I used to have one called the ERD, the Emergency Repair Disk, but that was back in the days of XP. It was a live disk I could boot from that got me to a desktop, and I could try to repair systems.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin Becker, how are you? On YouTube. Yeah, welcome to OS Talk now. Cool stuff. Mark Bosley, what's going on with you? It's been kind of quiet tonight. You hiding on us, Mark? I think he might be. No, wrong button. Wrong. Let's try this one here. Is Mark awake? All right. We lost Mark. Or he can't find it.
Mr. Barracuda, are you you're a car enthusiast? Do you like any particular brand?
Oh yeah, I'm into Volkswagen Beetles.
Oh,
and recently also into old Fords. I got a 1978 F-150 pickup.
I thought with a name like Barracuda, you would be a Mopar guy.
I have a Durango.
Well, that's good.
I don't. I'm not a fan of any brand in particular, but of any manufacturer. But like I said before, I like restoring anything. So a Beetle is a good way to get started. The parts are cheap. It's an easy car to work on. The pickup, the Ford F-150, it's a little harder because it's much bigger. The engine it's It's a lot much bigger and heavier.
Yeah, you have to have two sets of tools.
Yes, metric and.
You can almost lift the engine out of a Beetle.
No, you don't lift it. You drop it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you can lift it. You can lift it. Yes, on your own you can, but to remove it, you drop it.
Is it aluminum block or is it?
No, it's made out of magnesium.
Oh wow!
Did you ever watch a channel on YouTube called Musty One?
Musty One. I don't think so. Maybe. I have watched a lot of channels about Volkswagens, but I don't remember that one.
He's a Volkswagen enthusiast. He works on other things too, but he's done a lot of repair work on other people. Other Beetle enthusiasts go to him, and he does body work and you name it. He's rebuilt entire engines, restored entire vehicles, and it's a cool channel if you're into Beetles. Musty followed by the number 1.
Musty One. Okay. Are any of you also into cars?
I heard Ron likes Chevys.
Yeah, no. I'm a Mopar or no car guy.
I used to repair my own Beetle when I had Beetle when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I had like 3 Beetles. Then I went to Jettas, and then Jettas became injection, and then everything was computerized, and then I don't touch it anymore.
The one I have now, it's a 1963 standard Beetle.
Yeah, I had a 60, I had a 73, and 80 something.
I think we had like a 72 Beetle. It was new, and like a sky blue, metallic blue Beetle. No air conditioning.
Oh no! Yeah, I used to change the spark plugs and the
belt.
The belt and the little thing that send the sparks. What's the name of that? The distributor, yeah. To clean it up, take it out, and change the brakes. The brakes are not difficult to change. They're drum.
Drum.
So, yep.
Does anybody remember the Carmen Ghia? I think we had one of those things too.
Yeah, I had one.
That was kind of cool looking. I used to tell all my friends it was a Porsche, and they didn't know the difference because
nobody knew what it was.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Musty right now is he's not really restoring it, but he's getting it back into drivable condition. The frame is kind of rusted out, and he's been replacing parts of the frame. And it came without an engine, but he's got like a half a dozen Beetle engines in his storage shed. And so he'll drop one of those in, and he'll eventually get it run. But he's actually working on a Carmen Ghia right now.
Yeah, I guess that's something similar to old computers. Like the older hardware was easier to work on because it was simpler. It's probably true for cars too. Like older cars, like 70s and 80s cars, engines were easier to get to the parts. And I remember the old days, if you, with the carburetors, you could take the top off your carburetor and make sure your carburetor was clean. If you couldn't get the car to start, you put a little bit of gas right in the carburetor, and to kind of, get it going.
You could buy a carburetor repair kits.
Yeah. I'm not mechanically inclined, but I have changed fuel lines. I've replaced fuel pumps. I've had to go to a junkyard and replace a throttle cable and things like that. So I've done a handful of repairs back in the day, but like on a modern system, a modern car, it's like who knows how to work on these damn things now,
Yeah, I had a 74 Plymouth Duster, and the starter went on it. So I went to the auto parts store, bought a starter, put the core charge down, went home, popped the hood. There's the starter right there with nothing but free space all around it. Couple of bolts, take the wires off, couple of bolts, pulled the old one out, put the new one in. Took all of about 10 minutes to change out, if that, and went and got my core charge back. But nowadays, you look at cars and it's like buried up underneath, way up behind the, you got to have it up on a lift and a mechanic and special tools just to change the starter.
Well, back in the day, we used to take starters apart and rebuild them.
There you go.
Chrysler ones, anyway. Same with you could rebuild an alternator too.
I remember like pouring like soda water into my batteries and stuff too. Like sometimes your battery cells would get lower, and you can just kind of top them off, you know, like refill your battery containers and stuff.
Yeah, no sealed batteries back
then. Oh, you having a hard time? Just says put some more water in your battery; it'll be fine.
Chryslers had this one. I think it was a thermal resistor, or at least like one. And Ron, you know what I'm talking about? They used to go bad.
Yep.
My dad literally used to keep one in the glove box.
But you know what? You didn't even have to use it. You could jump it out, and it would still run with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just had to know how to jump it out.
My dad used to keep one in the glove box because you could pull the wires and plug it in, and away you go. And when you get home, you know, unmount the old one and then mount the replacement one. Yeah, but he always kept one in the glove box because it would kind of, you were stopped. You could not start the car if that thing didn't work. You know, I didn't realize you could jump around it though.
Yeah, we had a '59 Plymouth where my dad's the motor mount broke, right? And every once in a while he would take off with the car, and it would break the motor mount, and the engine would lift up, and it would hit the firewall and break the rotor cap on the distributor, and then it would die, you know, because the caps broke.
Yeah.
So he put an extra one in there until he got the thing fixed. The last time he fixed it, he had to weld it because it just wouldn't, you know, there was a weak part of the engine area there.
Hey, Brian Schubring, the music man, has joined us. Hey, Brian, how are you, buddy?
Oh, doing pretty good. Can you hear me over there?
You're highly overmodulated, actually. We can hear you probably too good.
All right, hang on. Let me get my audio adjusted.
All right. Yeah, speaking of starters and stuff, I had an old Ford Mustang where I had a vice grip that served two purposes. I used it to crank the window up and down, and then the other one was I actually started it with a pair of vice grips because the ignition thing was broken. So there was this little like rod right behind the steering wheel, and you clamped it onto the rod, and you just kind of pushed in on that, and it started the car. So I'd have to take the vice grips off and lock them in the glove box so somebody couldn't start my car while I was gone. But it was
when I was a kid, my mother drove a '54 Kaiser, okay, and she broke the shifter one day, and my dad had to come with a pair of vice grips and put it on, and she must have used and it was a standard shift. She had to use the vice grips to shift with until he got the part. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And that car had no power steering back then.
Oh, was it rack and pinion?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was, 54.
Yeah.
Freaking old. Probably had kingpins in the front end there.
Mm.
I had a solenoid go bad on me once, and so I, for like a month, I drove around with a screwdriver and just shorted out the solenoid. Nowadays, they put that little divider, so you can't do that. But you could stick the screwdriver between the two terminals and, you know, have a well-insulated plastic handle and just short them together. And it would start the car. Well, you don't want
your keys on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, turn your key on.
You have to have your key on. Yeah.
Well, you don't want to get dinged by that kind of
and if you had a stick shift, you had to make sure it was in neutral.
Yeah. Right.
I had to learn to drive on a stick shift. Talk about stressful, man. Never having driven a car before, and having learned how to downshift and clutch and everything else, man.
Do it in Pennsylvania on a hill.
Yeah. Oh, forget it. Yeah.
That's a good way to learn.
Yeah, and having your dad be your co-pilot, the guy's got no patience whatsoever. It's like, what the hell are you doing, you idiot? You know? And it's like, dude, I never drove a car before. What do you want from me? You know?
He's mad because his head hit the.
Yeah, right. So.
I learned on an automatic, but my sister had bought a Pinto that had a stick, and that's how I learned how to drive a stick. And my next car and several cars after that for years were all stick. So I'm kind of an expert. I could show me any hill in Pennsylvania, and I can.
Yeah, you don't use your brakes as much when you can downshift. You know, downshift all the way up to the red light. Hey, Brian Schubring, how you been, dude?
Oh, I've been just working away. I know my audio is still a little bit cranked up. I'm trying to get the things adjusted. Is it still overdriven?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's fine. Listen, it's if anybody's not happy, they can see customer service in the morning and request a refund. 100% money back guarantee. So,
yeah, I've been. Speaking of Pintos, I had two of those, two station wagons, the Mercury Bobcat, and then of course the Ford Pinto, not the Firebomb hatchback.
Okay.
But, those cars are great.
Oh, like Chevettes were a throwaway car.
You mean the Chevy Chevette?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I worked on a lot of different cars since the '60s, late '60s.
Mark Bosley had to go. Yeah. I mean, all through high school, all my cars were throwaway cars because you could buy a car that ran for a couple $100, and you just drove it till it died, and then you just bought another car for a couple $100 because it was cheaper to buy a new car than it was to buy the parts to fix your old car.
We had a '59 Volkswagen. Both of the floorboards were bad, and if it rained, it wasn't the car to drive because it would splash up into the. You'd have to have floor mats down that were wider than the, so it would block the water coming in.
And anybody have an old car with like no headliner and you just got black dust all over you every time you drove? Oh.
Yeah. How's the audio now?
Yeah, you're lower. It still seems a little distorted, but the volume's down. But it's fine. We can hear you.
All right.
It's better.
I switched over to my studio set.
Okay. I mean, it's better. It's definitely better.
Yeah. Good.
What kind of stuff are we looking at back there?
Me?
Yeah. You got
ham radio stuff.
Oh, radio? You're a ham guy?
Yeah, ham stuff. Both all my antennas have fallen down from the last snowstorm.
Oh.
So I got pull everything down, put everything up. I got a hex beam up there, and I did have a inverted V quad bander that I built and had up about 45 feet. So, but right now I don't have anything running except what I have in my truck. So it's fun.
Hey, Brian.
Talking about that, I've been I have this old pickup truck, and I've been thinking of putting in a receiver, a CB receiver. I don't know anything about it, but what would I use it for? What can you tell me about it?
Well, people are still on CB, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. That's 11 meters, at least here in the U.S. I honestly don't. I know down in Mexico they've got CB there. I don't know. Are you here in the States or?
Yeah, I'm in Florida.
Oh, Florida. Okay. Yeah, just wanted to make sure. Well, you got CB, otherwise ham radio, amateur radio, where you can talk to whoever you want to around the world.
But do people do ham radio in their cars?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You've got frequencies all the way down in the kilohertz, which ultra low frequency, all the way up through gigahertz.
Okay, so CB is more like short range. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a much wider range, but you have to have a federal license. You have to be licensed to operate on.
So even on ham, you need to be a ham operator to have it in your car.
Oh yeah. If you could if it's a receiver like a scanner, you don't need a license for that. But if it's
if you're going to transmit.
If you're going to transmit, oh yeah, you have to have a federal license, and depending upon the level of your license, determines what band allocations that you can operate on. So
it sounds like CB is probably the way to go for the short term, Barracuda.
Oh, for short term, yeah. So you can talk, people on the road, the truckers and all that.
I was going to tell my neighbor to do it on his truck too.
Yeah. Breaker 19, breaker 19. Breaker 19.
Breaker online.
Breaker 19. This here's the Barracuda. What's your 20?
Yeah, I just think that the thing, the receiver, the transmitter, or whatever you call it, it looks so cool on the truck.
Oh yeah, that was the thing, man. Back in the day, you had those big old whip antennas coming out of the back of your truck, man. That was the thing, man.
I had that. My handle was Desert Fox.
Yeah, you got a copy on me, good buddy?
Hell yeah.
And the funny thing is, if you ever watch that movie, Big Trouble in Little China, right? So Kurt Russell has just got his hand held down and he's just talking nonstop. And he never lets go of the thing. And you can't do that in CB. It's push to talk. If you're sitting there holding the thing down forever, you know what I mean? Nobody's ever going to be able to talk on the damn channel. So
Exactly. It's half duplex, buddy.
yeah, it's half duplex and it's only one at a time. So
Back in the 70s, I was Mopar Ron. That was my
Mopar
hand.
Ron, huh?
Yeah. My dad was Red Sable.
So handles have been around. Talking about getting into handles going back to bulletin boards, but in online chat. But handles go back to CB. I wonder what handles were used before that.
Smokey and the Bandit's a good example of that.
Yeah, the Bandit, right?
BJ and the Bear.
BJ and the Bear.
The movie Convoy.
Remember Convoy?
And the song.
Oh yeah.
Hey, what's your 86?
What's your 86? What does that mean?
Your location.
I thought that was what you're 20.
No. Yeah.
Well, I think in
No, 86 is death, isn't it? You're dead. You're 86th. I don't know.
I don't know.
There's a whole set of those codes.
Oh, okay. 187 is the police code for homicide. So
And 5150s for when you're crazy.
Yeah, crazy, yeah. So 56, 86, I don't know. 86 is when you throw something away. Yeah, 86.
Officer operator on duty.
What, 86?
1086, yes.
86
Most of those codes are from used for police and MP.
Okay. And I always remember is what's your 20? It's like, where are you? What's your location?
That's your location, yeah. Or 10-9.
10-9.
Come again.
Come again. Oh, yeah. 10-4 was a
10-4,
copy.
I remember, yeah.
10-4, good buddy. Yeah, 10-9, come again, huh? All right.
69 means if the trucks are rocking, don't bother knocking.
It means message received.
Oh, it's being received all right, trust me.
It's loud and clear.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
Hey.
Well, I used to have a neighbor that had a motorcycle with a linear on it. You know, he'd turn it on and the lights would dim on his bike a little bit.
That sounds like Bill when he turned the PDP on at his apartment.
Kevin Becker says, I remember when I was a kid getting updates on Santa's location on the CB as we drove home from Grandma's house on Christmas Eve. Oh, okay. So that's kind of cool. The neighborhood would be giving Santa updates.
So it's what, like Santa, what's your 20? Or how does that work?
What's your 20, Santa? You got your ears on, Mr. Claus?
Sorry, lost audio for a second.
Yeah, that was the other one is you got your ears on?
Yeah.
Brian, did you do slow scan TV and WeFax and stuff?
I tried it back in the day a little bit. I didn't transmit so much. I more received.
Yeah.
And that was with the Coco too.
Yeah, I did WeFax with the Coco and
yeah, I did
successful.
a lot of ready with the Coco, mostly on 2-meter. And that now I mostly do a lot of the digital stuff on HF. So, but obviously can't do talking now. No antenna.
Yeah.
At least that I can use at the moment. Actually, I do have my antenna still works. I just got to get it stretched out and up high enough so it'll work. My dipole.
I used to put a wire out in the backyard along the wood fence all along. And that's how I pick up good station. This was in New York.
Brian, you're going to be at Coco Fest this year, right?
Heck yeah. I got my Coco running. I got the audio going. I could even do a sample.
Yeah.
But
play some Skinner, man. Tim Franklin says that Tim Franklin's saying CB is just terrible now, that there's swearing and rudeness and it's just not the same.
It always has been.
Yeah,
it always has been. It's gotten worse, yeah. But I don't use it. Although
all the internet people have infected CB, then is what you're saying.
So we have CB trolls now.
Here's what I hated to hear: skip land, skip land, skip land.
What the hell
Somebody's
is
trying
that?
to communicate far away. They're trying to
pushing like about 500 watts.
Yeah, that's what the linear. And we always had people trying to hook up for dates with women.
Oh yeah,
the truck stops.
The lot lizards.
Yeah.
I mean, all you gotta do is go in the restroom and find their phone number on the wall. I mean, it's not that hard, right? So.
Yeah, we won't go to that number.
For a good time, call.
83. Oh, what was that number now?
867-5309.
Yeah.
There
you go. That's an insurance company out here. They use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get sick of hearing it.
Skipland. I've never heard Skipland before.
Yeah.
Huh.
Skipland. Huh. You never hear anybody call them back. They must have been able to hear it, but we didn't. We just heard them saying it one way.
Well, I've done some skip. I actually talked to a guy named Jerry way long time ago. I was out in Belgium. Channel 54.
So what does Skipland mean? Like somebody's wanting you to relay a message to somebody else, to somebody else, to somebody else?
No, they're broadcasting saying that, hey, I want to talk to somebody out there way far away. I want to talk to Skipland, people who can hear them.
Like he's talking about Belgium or somewhere.
Basically, what they're referring to is skipping the signal off the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right.
So they call it skip for short.
It's usually when there's solar storms. There's a lot of sunspots.
So that works on CB too? Because I heard you guys talking about using that on ham radio.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on the frequency.
There were times in the past I'd be on the CB radio and you can hear people having a conversation way far away, back and forth, clear as a bell.
Yeah.
You'd be hearing where they're from and they go, no kidding, you're kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah, the signals are just bouncing around up in the ENF layer up there, and it just finds a hole and gets to you. If the conditions are good.
That even works with just regular terrestrial radio, because I remember a few times here up in Saskatoon, just 5 hours north of the American border, I was picking up like Salt Lake City every once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can TV antennas back in the day, if they were directional, you could pick up faraway places certain times.
Mm-hmm.
That was more line of sight, though.
Yeah. I tell you something I would love to have, but my wife would never let me do it, and you'd be the eyesore of the neighborhood. But I would love a old outdoor antenna now, but for high definition. I remember in the old days you had the big old aerial antennas on an aluminum pole, like up on your house and stuff. But nowadays you can get free HD over the air with a good outdoor antenna.
I just mounted it on my roof and aimed it at our 2 local stations.
I mean, I would love to have one of those.
3 or 4 stations now too. Aside from a big HD channel, they have 2 or 3 side channels now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you're going to get like your local, so your CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox type stuff like that. You'll get your public radio stuff. There's usually a weather channel. There's usually some digital music stations and a few things like that.
Yeah, back in the 60s, you'd go into a neighborhood and see aerials all over the place,
Yeah.
And it,
I actually have one of those, but it's inside the attic.
Okay, so it's indoors, it's not outdoors.
Yeah, well, it's one of the outdoor ones, but it was installed inside the attic.
Yeah, that's how it was when I was growing up. It was in our attic, not on the roof.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was still high enough in the air.
Yeah.
I don't know how different that is. I mean, you pick up more stuff if it was outside, but that's all I use. I don't pay for cable. I just watch.
Yeah, and you could actually feed that into, like, if you've already got the cable wired in your house, you could feed that through your house wiring.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
And run it on multiple sets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We live in Fountain Hills, and any local TV stations are hard to get because there's mountains and hills here.
Oh yeah. You're basically in a bowl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The range on the new high def ones isn't as good either, because if you lose too much of the signal, it just drops right off. So it's not like the analog ones where you just get more and more snow.
My brother,
right? Because it's a pixelated picture.
Yeah, my brother bought an antenna recently because he didn't want to pay for cable, so he got rid of cable and bought an antenna. And he was tripping because he's like, man, I get like 35 different channels.
Yeah.
Just off of an antenna.
For free.
For free, yeah. And actually that HD is better because it's not compressed. When you get HD through your cable companies, they're compressing the hell out of it to be able to get 500 channels through their bandwidth. So you're getting one channel at a time, fully uncompressed, high definition digital, you know?
Yeah. And you can tell the difference actually.
Yep, I can on mine for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you're going to get a program guide.
Yep, that works too.
You got a program guide? Okay.
Yeah, on both the channels I get here, I got the program guide. Yeah, if your TV supports it, some of them.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah.
The one TV I have actually does your program guide, I think 24 hours ahead, and the other one does 3.
Okay.
That's just limitations on the TV firmware.
Yeah, and then there are a lot of third-party boxes that you could use to DVR over-the-air type stuff. You know, so you could make your own DVR if you wanted to as well. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah, and some of the channels are pretty good if you're into like retro TV and stuff like that. Because I'm old, so I like watching old TV shows sometimes. And,
no, this is young guy channel. Get on, hang up, get out of here.
I'm 64. I'm probably the old guy here, or no?
You got me beat.
I think Nick Marenti's got us all beat.
Beat a couple years.
What's Nick like? 97?
96.
Where the hell is that Nick Marenti's? Anyways, Nick, where are you?
All right, I just woke up. What are you asking?
We're trying to see who the oldest person on the call is right now. So Ron's at 64.
I'm 54.
All right, so Ron might hold the title tonight.
I just told my wife, I said, I think I'm the oldest person when we're on. It's
not always.
Yeah.
Dale Puckett had you beat.
When's your birthday, Nick?
September.
So I'm about 6 months older than you. Because I'll be 55 in March.
Yeah, but how many Ferraris do you have, John?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have pop star money?
Pop star money.
And wait till I release Funstar.
Funstar, available exclusively on ROM cartridge.
What about that? What about that Stevie Strow YouTube money?
Oh yeah. You got all kinds of money there.
You're gonna retire on Patreon, aren't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What is Kevin saying? Kevin Becker says, I've had multiple experiences explaining to older people that it's just an antenna, like you remember antenna TV. There are just more channels now.
And less range.
Less range. Yeah, you don't get the snow, but if it's a bad picture, it's just like digital noise. It's just
all or nothing.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing, because once it can't decompress or figure out the stream, then it just drops right off or freezes. The old ones, you just get snow. You kind of get this.
But the weird thing is depending on the tuner on your TV, is the channel numbers get into like this Dewey Decimal System where you're like on
4.1.
Yeah, it's like, well, dude, just give me channels like 1 through 100, or just give me sequential whole numbers, integers here, So
I'm trying to remember. Was that to do like alternate language tracks, like if you wanted Spanish?
Oh, I don't even know. It was just confusing as hell. The few times I tried doing that over the air shit, it was just like, dude, what is with these numbers, these channel numbers? There's no rhyme or reason to
like
it.
Many IP addresses now.
Yeah.
Well, they want you to know that the local, ABC station, which in Cleveland area is channel 5, so 5.1, it's a channel 5 related channel, essentially. I think that's
they
why
have different programming, same channel but different programming.
Oh, okay, different.
Some of them, one is HD, one it's not HD regular.
Okay.
Yeah, we had that up here. Our global station had 4.1 and 4.2 for a while there, which one was one was high def and one was regular def, and they eventually phased the regular def out.
Yeah, but the whole analog space they got rid of that. I forgot when that was. That was in the early 2000s, wasn't it? When they're like, dude, you got to get rid of. There's going to be no more analog television. You got to get a converter.
Like 2000.
That was the big scare, right? That your old TVs aren't going to work anymore because we're not broadcasting analog. You got to get.
Yeah, that's when they had those free coupons to get antennas.
Or the digital receiver boxes, right? So plug that into your TV to get the picture or something. So.
Do any of you guys watch TV anymore?
I do. I mostly watch Netflix or YouTube if I'm watching.
Yeah, we just for financial reasons, I cut the cord on cable maybe 6 months ago. And other than my wife's not happy that she can't watch football right now, I mean, our life hasn't suffered too much. We have Netflix and Hulu, and the kids mostly watch YouTube and other shit like that. So it's just like, yeah.
June 12th, 2009. Stevie.
2009 is when they got rid of analog TV?
Yeah, it was supposed to go earlier than that, but they weren't quite ready yet, or the industry whined or something, and ultimately it took until 2009. But they continued to transmit broadcast for a year or two, I think.
And what have they done with that space since then? I don't even know what they're using it for. But the good news is, like Ron has pointed out now, when you hook up an old retro system to channel 3 or channel 4, it kind of doesn't matter because there's nothing competing either one. We're getting really clean pictures now via RF because there's no competing, analog noise anymore.
Here, right here.
Yeah, and so Tim Franklin's saying that you get 5 megahertz of bandwidth per channel, and then they could break that 5 megahertz into multicast stations, so like your 5.1, 5.2, 5.3.
That's
all
right.
different.
That's the reason for the single channel number in the dot, because it's operating on the same frequency. It's just
gotcha.
Inside the bandwidth.
See how clean that is?
Owl DOS custom modified. Yeah, that's real clean, Ron.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I was thinking about that, like, because Kevin Becker's mentioning that he's watching Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, right? That's already, like, to me, even just with Netflix, there's more crap on Netflix than I'm ever going to have time to watch. Between the movies, between the old series that they have, and all their new original series, I don't have enough viewing time to watch Netflix's catalog. Then you throw in Hulu as a service. Then you're looking at Amazon Prime, which is basically the redheaded. Amazon Prime. I don't know. It's there if you've got Amazon Prime account. It's just nice to have it as a thing. But I just figure it's just another thing to try to watch that I don't have time to watch. So I feel like when it comes to streaming services, I feel like we're already oversaturated in a sense.
Well, the thing is, it depends on the show that you want to watch, because some shows are only available on
I know
certain...
that's the problem, right? And so like there's the CBS All Access that they're doing, and it's like, I'm not going to pay for that. Just the only thing they got on there that might be worth is the new Star Trek thing, but it's like, dude, I'm not paying $8 or $12 a month for that.
I haven't been able to watch that one, and I've been wanting to. But...
I mean, it's on the internet. I've got it. I've seen it. So it's like there's other ways to see it.
I got DirecTV now and Netflix, and that's enough. And that carries all my local stations and Fox News, which is what I watch all the time anyway, and then Netflix for the entertainment.
How are you picking up Fox News?
Through DirecTV now. It's through my cable, through my internet.
So DirecTV now is basically streaming their product line over the internet.
We had DirecTV satellite, and I cut it and went to for $40 instead of $140 is what we were paying, I think, which was ridiculous. And they were all stations I didn't have any interest in.
Yeah, my problem with these cable companies and satellite companies is they give you a bunch of crap you don't want, and my philosophy is that, number one, you should be able to pick and choose the channels you want.
You guys
and pay for those.
We do in Canada.
Yeah, and number two, if there's a channel that runs commercials, you shouldn't have to pay for it at all because it's already being paid for by the advertisements. So you look at like AMC where The Walking Dead is, they're still running commercials. So why are we paying our cable company for AMC when we have to watch those commercials? So any channel that has commercials should automatically be free. And then you should, if you're paying for stuff, it should just be you pick what you want to pay for. Instead of paying $40 a month for 40 channels, if I watch 5 channels, why can't I watch the 5 I want for $5 a month?
On Facebook, I've been watching a video and they cut to a commercial halfway through.
Yeah,
and I won't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
So they can get the signal maybe that hey, putting a commercial in the middle of everything is not working.
No,
at least for this guy, it ain't. I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, I know CRTC here in Canada actually forced the cable companies a few years back to do the a la carte thing where you can pick your individual channels.
Yeah, because down here I'm going to get. So what do you get? Especially in South Florida, there are no less than a half a dozen, if not a dozen, channels in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. All right, so why should I have to pay for that? Right? There's a bunch of shopping channels. I'm not going to watch any of those. There's a bunch of C-SPAN, CNNs, news, talk, all this other crap. I'm not going to watch any of that. A lot of religious channels. I'm not going to watch any of that. When you cut all that stuff out.
Steve.
Yeah.
You can hide the channels that you don't want to watch.
You can hide them from your preview guide or whatever?
Yeah, I actually did that, and
Okay.
it probably took me 2 hours to go through.
Yeah.
Write down the ones that I didn't want to have, and I went into the settings and I deleted or I hit the ones that I didn't.
Yeah.
And,
but the argument
but you're
here
still
is-
paying for them.
Yeah, but it's still part of a bundle that you have to pay for. That if it was truly a la carte, you could just pick what you wanted to pay for what you watched.
One thing that I found that I realized is that the shopping channels they repeat. Every 40 channels or something like that, they repeat.
Oh yeah.
And, like the channel.
Well, what were you watching?
Now, if they had a retro computer shopping channel,
Yeah.
And one other thing that I hate about Evo is that every time you change the channel, it takes like 3 seconds for the channel to show up. And this is true. I actually calculated how much time you waste waiting for the channel to show up. And it was something like, I don't know, I don't remember the number, but it was something like a year from your life waiting for channel to load.
And that's due to all the decompression stuff because it has to get enough for the original frame, decompress that, and then start doing the.
There's so much other stuff we wait in line for.
Yeah.
In our life, we wait in line for lots of things. That's why the cell phone's so popular. The smartphone, because while you're waiting in line, you're
playing Candy Crush.
Yeah. Going to the bathroom's productive now.
Yeah, especially if you're Grant Lee.
Years ago, several years back, like in the late 90s, I think it was, Congress passed a law that said cable companies had to offer things a la carte. And so the cable company sent us this card, and I filled out the card, and then I did the math, and I'm like, oh, well, that's going to save me like, $20-30 a month or whatever it was. And so the cable company came up with this BS way to get around it. They said, well, to block the channels that you don't want, we have to come out and install these filters, and they'll rent you the filter for
rent it to you.
$6 a month.
Oh, wow.
For the filter to block. So when it was all said and done, I was basically paying the same amount.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what a rip. But now, and the thing of it is now that when you call the cable company, there's no place online where you can go where you can see every channel that they have, where you can see every channel that you have and make the decisions to, you have to call them, and then they just want to cram some sort of package that includes landline phone that I don't need, and then some cable package with internet or whatever.
Yeah, like Comcast triple play. We have to get phone, cable, and internet, or home security, cable and internet, and
yeah, that's what they do here. They still have bundles And basically, if you watch more than just a few channels, like in my case, if I did want to go back to cable, getting a la carte would be cheaper for me because I only would watch 3 or 4 stations, period. So, you know, $1 or $2 each, depending on if it's a premium station or not. But the bundles are, if you get like a chunk of 20 channels, they'll give it to you for less than $1 a channel type thing. So a lot of people that watch sports and local news and stuff, they always set up the bundles in such a way that you'll have to get a bundle to get the best deals. So
I want to know when we're all going to get free internet. They've been talking about that for years and years. That it was all going to.
You gotta move to Canada for that. Canada's got free healthcare, free prescription drugs, free internet, free cable. Let's go to Canada.
Well, no, I think wasn't Elon Musk talking about putting thousands of these little CubeSats up in really low orbit? And
there was people talking about the airlines. If you look at the map, any one moment there's aircraft all over the face of the earth.
Yeah, yeah,
and they could be broadcasting
internet. Yeah.
Yep.
Boy,
but instead they're charging like $9 a minute to get the internet in the airplane right now. So.
And $20 for a piece of luggage or something. So.
Yeah. Eddie Serbinsky just joined us. Hey, Eddie. Yeah. There's like so many things that could be better with infrastructure and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Well, tell me how your cell phone use in an airplane will cause any kind of problem.
You'll be too distracted playing Candy Crush to put the oxygen mask over your face.
Yeah. Well, supposedly it can mess with the navigation equipment, but I think the odds of that are somewhere between slim and none.
No,
well, I'll ask you guys a question. Like up here in Canada, like all the hospitals used to have you shut off cell phones and stuff too because it might interfere with heart monitoring equipment or whatever. But they've relaxed all that now. You can take your cell phone and leave it on the entire time.
Because it ain't true.
I think everybody was freaked out. There were gas stations that said, "Don't be on your phone while you're pumping gas."
Yeah,
you could start a fire, and I'm thinking, no, there's no sparks coming off my cell phone. That's gonna.
Yeah, unless there's a Carrington event at the exact same time, that ain't happening.
How many people were nervous to buy a microwave?
Not me.
Back in the day, was it late
70s?
60s? No, late. We had a radar range. You know, when we first got home, and it was like 800 pounds. You pull the door open, you know, and then if you stand close to it, you know, and you touch it, and you're not getting any vibes or anything from it, no warmth. You know, it's cooking inside though.
Yeah.
My dad tried to cook a turkey in it one time.
Well, the frequency is really high, which is why they're called microwaves, but their height is a little bit taller than those little holes, and they can't pass through those holes. That's, you know what I'm talking about? Any microwave you ever look at has that screen with all the holes so you can see into it. And that's because the microwaves are a little too tall to fit through those holes. They're blocked.
Well, so doesn't it transmit downwards?
Apparently not.
In Australia, it probably does.
Yeah.
I think it bounces all over inside, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a baffle in there that spins.
Yeah.
I know there's a wire mesh in the bottom because a friend of mine actually left a spoon in one of his bowls when he was nuking it for 6 or 7 minutes, and it literally blew the bottom out of the microwave. And you can see the wire mesh. It looks like mini rebar or something.
Yeah, you can put ball up a little bit of aluminum and stick it in there, and it's like a spark show.
Yep.
Yeah, and no small animals in those things either.
Yeah. Big ones are okay, like a steak. That's kind of rubbery after. I guess.
Who's heard of free dive?
Free dive?
Yes,
you dive underwater without equipment?
No. IMDb, free dive, free movies.
No.
Yeah.
There's a few free movie services though.
Friday.
Sounds like scam. When you ever hear that?
It's ad driven, but you watch full movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it takes 3 hours to watch a half-hour movie.
Not quite.
You know.
It's like Pluto TV and some of the other ones too.
Oh yeah, Pluto TV's big on that. Yeah.
I have an Apple TV, and there's this one app that specializes in like old movies. So basically, nothing newer than the 40s, I would say. or
Yeah,
maybe
there's a few of those like that do a lot of the old classic stuff, and then the stuff that's beyond copyright now. So a lot of stuff's coming online this year, like some early Charlie Chaplin.
Roger Taylor did an old movie, along with his Coco TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a channel with all just old movies. I said, so how is it you get those? He goes, I've downloaded them over the years. He has them on his hard drive, and I guess he uploads them. I don't know how it works, but...
Yeah, I actually had to set up a Roku for somebody not too long ago because they wanted to watch a channel called BritBox that gets all like British television. And so I had set that up for him. I got him on BritBox, and I was able to find the Coco TV channel on there. I didn't subscribe to it for him or anything, but I was like, oh, I see it, because I've never used a Roku before. But I did see it out there when I was doing a channel search for BritBox. I also did a search for Coco, and I saw the Coco TV channel on there.
Yeah, we use Roku for our Direct Now TV. Whatever.
Okay, like there's an app on the Roku that gets it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's why it's in the living room.
Yeah.
Now, I no longer have it in here because we record on the satellite dish.
Who's playing guitar right now? Is that you, Curtis?
Oh, I mean,
that's me. That's the Coco.
That's the Coco?
That's your MIDI?
Yeah.
Classical gas.
Gas, yeah.
Sounds halfway decent.
Yeah. Classical gas from back in the 70s.
So that's using Ultimuse's player?
I'm using Paul Sonora's MIDI, or the
MF player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's through MIDI. Of course, it's the synthesizers that make the sound, so they sound better.
Yeah. There's another sound chip option for everybody. Buy a MIDI synth.
Yeah, MIDI was pretty popular on the PCs until MP3s took over. MIDI was king.
Yeah, and MIDI on OS 9 was king because we had crappy sound drivers otherwise, so a lot of people had that.
Speaking of MP3s and such, did you see? Was it just last year what Mark had over at Cloud9 for his Superboard demo?
Trying to remember what.
Paul Thayer is asking, are we still doing this live right now? No, Paul, we're not live. We're pre-recorded.
It's Memorex.
It's Betamax.
we just had a premonition you'd ask that. That's why we mentioned it on the show.
What is it, Brian?
He's got a sound chip kind of like what is in that new mini multi-pack, but a different chipset, and it's set up so that if you send an MP3 file or a MIDI file to the Superboard, it'll play it because it has all the drivers and all that built in on the Superboard, regardless if it's MIDI or MP3 or MP4.
Who was doing this?
Mark Marlette.
Mark Marlette.
Oh.
Cloud9.
Because that's
I kind of remember that now that you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of showing that off a little bit. We'll see. It's been how many years?
Last time I checked, 20. Heck was it? We figured it out the one time, Steve, when I went and found some of the old messages from his original announcements from like 97 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while. I still put my money into it.
Ed Snyder's got a neat player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, this guy just joined us on Facebook, Myron Hobazal. He's saying, wow, Steve Bjork. But Steve's not with us on the call right now. Steve is with us quite frequently on our daytime show, but he's not with us now. But he was asking a couple questions here about some of Steve's games, like how did you get music on Super Pitfall, and how did you get the Megabug voice for We've Gotcha? So it's probably best to hear it from Steve himself, but we've heard him answer some of these questions before, right? What the We Gotcha was 1-bit audio that was just lifted straight from the Apple version, right?
Yeah.
And then how he got
Super Pitfall is an FIRQ based background sound player, from what I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, but Steve is with us live quite a bit, Myron. He's just not here tonight. He was actually on earlier today on our 2 p.m. show. So,
every Saturday, 2 p.m. Sometimes he shows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we got Nick Marentes of Popstar Pilot fame here with us. So Nick's a big fan of.
That was really loud.
So, Nick Marentes is basically your consolation prize to Steve.
Sorry you didn't win, but here's your consolation prize. No Bjork for you. So, hey Nick, have you heard all of the Coco Forever?
I did do a binge listen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to listen to it again because well, with so many episodes, I was starting to get tired, and I can't quite remember the end. So I'm gonna have to
well, we're not gonna spoil anything for anybody, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I still have to finish listening to it myself.
Yeah, and I haven't done any of the supplemental material. I just queued it all up and played it in the car, one episode after the other. And it's good to listen to. I mean, I'm sure the other material is nice value added, but I don't think it takes away from just listening to the story.
Yeah,
I think the story, I think the audio content in itself is pretty good. A lot of good running gags in there, interesting stuff. A lot of a lot of the things you see very common with time travel shows. When you change one thing, the ripple effect of how things change and stuff. So it plays with that a lot.
You learn a lot about Tandy Towers.
And the Tandy subway and the mall and the ice rink. And so a little bit of history in there. And yeah, it's cool. I really enjoyed it. I thought you did a really good job. It's a good story through
Maybe
and through.
Some of these guys haven't seen. Do you want to play the thing?
I could find it. Yeah, give me a second to find it. Ooh. Excuse me, it's getting past my bedtime, Ron Delvo.
Yeah, mine too. My wife wants to start watching Offspring.
The band?
No, it's a chick flick on Netflix.
I'm just a sucker with no self-esteem. Oh, hey. All right, I'm looking for the commercial. Let's see. And do I have commercial?
We're watching this show, and it's got 7 seasons, and we're at 4. And the other day, while I was home, I jumped to season 7 and looked at one of the episodes just to see what changes there are. So I told her last night, I go, I know stuff. Things that have changed,
Yep.
I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
I've got a couple of the Coco Forever teasers. You want to try teaser 1 first, just to see what it's like, and we can go through the different teasers on Coco Forever.
What if, knowing what I know now, I could go back in time, join Tandy Corporation, and change the course of history? Coco Forever.
How does it feel? I'm still believing.
Ooh. So that's the premise, right? Here's teaser 2.
Imagine a different world. A world where Tandy Corporation has the upper hand. Where the Coco surpassed all competitors. And all you have to do is travel back in time without making a single mistake.
Coco Forever.
How does it feel? I'm still believing.
You
You definitely earned this office.
Yes, you're too kind, and thank you.
You want to grab some food before we head back and look at that alt reality OS9 module?
It's only 40 years past due, but yeah, sure.
How does it feel? I'm still believing.
There you go. So that's just a little teaser of what's going on there with Coco Forever. It's cool stuff. It's a great...
Yeah. And if you hunt back through our episodes of the regular show, we actually played, I think, the first episode or two in their entirety.
Yeah, yeah, we played, I think, 0, 1, and 2.
Yeah, so when somebody wants to do some research, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, but it's a good... And so he had a sale towards the end of the year where you could get all 10 episodes for $10. So $1 an episode. And so not only is it the audio recording, but then there's some PDF files or some pictures or some disk images you can run at some interactive media that runs on an actual color computer. So it's a cool mixed media presentation, and it's a good audio drama, including one video clip where they shows the Tandy subway system and all that kind of stuff like that too. So cool stuff. And bottom line, it was a good story. The voice acting was good. A lot of members of the community in there playing alternate versions of themselves. Cool stuff.
Guys, I'm going to call it a night. I definitely want to learn more about the Coco and
Yeah,
RSA.
it's a piece of crap. It's a crap. Get yourself a Commodore. You'll be better off. So
You're in the right place.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
And
Nice to meet you.
Anybody out there interested in time travel? Our next meeting is last Thursday at 7 p.m.
Great. Yeah, he was at the right place but wrong show.
Yeah, right. Well, it's funny because Stephen Hawking did something like that. He planned a party and didn't tell anybody. I forgot how it went, but he basically, to prove if there was ever a time travel, he had a party and
in secret. He didn't tell anybody where it was.
Didn't tell anybody where it was, and then sent out the invitations after the party was already over. So if somebody in the future could see it, could go back and attend that party, but nobody was ever there. So therefore proving that time travel is just not possible.
Or it just forked a different timeline,
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting to see how different shows deal with the whole paradox of that, what was a really crappy one with Jean-Claude Van Damme? Time Cop, right? Was that what it's called? Time Cop, right? And their whole thing was, well, matter can't exist in the same place. So you two people touch each other, they're going to explode or something like that, right?
Yeah. Or the one younger version of that one bad guy got cut.
Yeah, and he had a scar later on. Yeah.
Through a scar, yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, I liked that movie. I have to say, I did enjoy it.
Get off our show.
It's not my favorite time travel.
You're an Apple guy and you like Time Cop. That's 2 strikes right there.
My favorite time travel movie by far is Back to the Future.
Yeah, that did a pretty good job dealing with the paradoxes and fixing things. And
Terminator.
Yeah, Terminator.
Paul Thayer says that didn't prove that time travel wasn't possible, but it did prove nobody wants to go to Stephen Hawking's parties.
Yeah, maybe if the Kardashians had sent out the invitation instead, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, man. Eddie Sierpinski says, did Van Damme ever do a good movie? Well, what was the movie where they were Universal Soldiers? Was that the one?
Him and Dolph Lundgren or something?
Him and Dolph Lundgren, where they were like the super soldiers that were part cyborg or some crap like that. I don't remember.
What's he like, hawking Cheetos nowadays or something?
Oh, you know who was good? Speaking of Dolph Lundgren, he made an appearance in a new superhero movie that came out just recently, and he did a good job.
Which movie?
Hold on one second here. I can't say because I don't want my wife to know I went and saw it. But it was Aquaman. So, what did Paul say? Tostitos. Van Damme's commercials now is called
Tostitos. That's it.
Yeah. James Different After said it was called Universal Bad Acting. Oh my goodness. We beat this show to death, or we got more left in us?
No, we're done.
We're done? We're coming up on midnight.
Yeah.
Coming up on midnight.
Midnight, it's only 11 here.
Ah.
It's not even 10 here either. But
you know, an interesting time travel sort of thing would be like if you were in a coma for the last 25 years and then all of a sudden woke up today. Think about how different things are today from just 25 years ago. Which is what, 19,
yeah.
That's
It'd be like Claude Van Damme still trying to act? What?
Although he was in one of the more recent Expendables.
Expendables 3.
Yeah, Expendables 3 was it? And I gotta say, I enjoy those movies because they don't take themselves seriously. They're not taking themselves seriously, but they are just basically, guns, explosion, action movies, and they're done very well, honestly.
Yeah, they had everybody in that one.
Yeah, Expendables 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, freaking everybody. Who was that? They had
Bruce Willis,
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Charlie Chaplin. He was just insane. Yeah.
The Rocky guy.
Mel Gibson.
That's Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. Mel Gibson. Yeah. Mel Gibson. Yeah.
Yeah, Mel Gibson.
That's
also,
in 3.
That's Nick's neighbor.
He's your neighbor now.
He's got 27 kids.
Oh man, Jean-Claude.
Good night.
That was a question we used to always wonder back in the day. Who would win in a fight? Would it be Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme? But it's just like talk about some bad movies too. Like every Steven Seagal movie is like the same freaking plot line, just change the
And he's only got like 127 movies like that too.
Yeah, it's like holy crap. I'm pretty sure Jean-Claude would have kicked Steven Seagal's ass just because Jean looks like he's a lot more physical than Steven is. Steven's a big guy, but I don't think he can move that fast. Or I don't think he would. What is Jean-Claude Van Bad Actor? Oh man,
He was good in the Volvo commercial.
It was Jean-Claude?
Yeah.
Is that the one where he did a split between the two trucks?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's his trademark move, right?
Can you imagine if it went wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to... Well, I mean...
That's in the blooper outtake reel, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another one of Nick's neighbors, but people used to joke all the time about Steve Irwin, the crocodile man. Like, one of these days, one of these fucking things is going to get him, And sadly, that's exactly what had happened. But forever, that was the biggest running joke with the crocodile hunter guy was just like, So,
I think there were even like comedy skits like that too.
Yeah, yeah.
But
it's
you know
like
what? How he died.
Evil.
How he died, they said, was incredibly like rare for something like that to happen.
Yeah. And at least it wasn't a crocodile that did it. So that would have been just too ironic. Yeah. Right. It was the barb or something like that.
It's kind of right in the heart.
Well, why did you watch Evel Knievel? Because every time he was going to bite it.
All right.
Yeah. He
There's
never
always
did
that chance. No.
It shattered every bone in his body, but he didn't die from it.
Evel Knievel. Now we have somebody's throwing down a gauntlet here. Paul Thayer says, I think Matthew McConaughey could take both Van Damme and Seagal. All right.
You want a weed smoking competition? Yeah.
In his new Lincoln.
His new Lincoln.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what he does, Lincoln commercials. Every time you see his face, you know, oh, a new Lincoln commercial.
A new Lincoln commercial. It's not a movie.
Yeah.
Not a movie, but it's a new commercial. What was the last movie he did? Like Interstellar or whatever it's called when he went through
I think so.
Yeah.
Time and space?
It was the Lincoln convertible, wasn't it?
No, that was Elon Musk. No, yeah, that was a Tesla. Sorry.
Oh, that's right.
How cool was it seeing that Tesla in orbit?
That was cool. I actually watched the live launch right through until they unveiled the Tesla up there.
Just think of how many children he could have fed with that car.
Yeah, I was at work, but I happened to go on break, like right at that moment. Like there was like a minute and a half left in the countdown when I started watching it, and I watched the whole launch because I had a 15-minute break. And
yeah, and Elon's brother. I mean, speaking of feeding children stuff, Elon's brother is a technical person in farming, and he actually does help with food stuff. So
yeah.
Does a lot of donation of his time and things.
I was being facetious anyway.
Tell you a guy who sometimes you think that he cranks out too many movies in a year, but every now and then there's a good one. But The Rock now, it's like the guy's in frickin' everything, you know. And I will say that I actually liked Rampage. I don't know if you guys saw Rampage or not, the movie. But I saw that, and it was just good entertainment. I mean, it's, again, not taking itself too seriously, but, you know, when you're talking about giant gorillas and wolves and Godzilla, you know, tearing up a city, and if you can suspend disbelief that we've got these things, then you managed to do a good, serious role there.
I still can't understand how he can make his eyebrow and his eye function differently.
Yeah, just the one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Kind of like Marty Feldman was.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. And so Rampage was good, and another one he did that was good was
the one with Kevin Hart.
I didn't see that one, but we saw Jumanji last summer with my daughter, and we both laughed our asses off with that. So he can do good as a comedy, and he can do good as an action. He can do good in both, and that's hard to pull off, you know.
Yeah. The movie with Kevin Hart was really good. It was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's done a bunch of Kevin Hart. He's done more than one, so you got to be more specific.
Oh, has he? It was the one where he was like a government agent or something. I can't remember the exact. He was a real geek burger, a real fat guy in school.
Okay.
And everybody made fun of him. And then years later, Kevin Hart runs into him, and he's like built like The Rock, and he's a top secret agent for the CIA or something like that. And he gets involved in this thing that The Rock is involved with, and it goes from there. But it was just funny as hell.
Huh. Yeah. So
Stevie, out of the two Jumanjis, which one do you prefer?
The original. The original is the classic. You know, that's holy ground right there. You know. And so I was really skeptical, knowing that this was being made as an intentional over-the-top comedy. I was really skeptical going into it, but I saw it with my daughter, and I got to say I really liked it. I liked what they did with it, and I think they paid good respect to the source material. So they didn't sacrilege the holy ground there. You know, so it paid good respect to that, but it was just a modern version of the story, but it was an intentional comedy, where Jumanji was more of a dramedy. You know, it was like an action flick with funny moments, where this was a deliberate comedy. You know, A Central Intelligence, Paul says, is the name of that movie.
That's it. Yeah, Central.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was good. It's worth watching if you're looking for a funny rock movie, and Kevin Hart's funny too.
Oh, why don't you just come on here instead of getting your fingers tired?
Well, he's kind of doing a Jim Brain, where he's providing value.
Paul Thayer.
He's like Nick Marotta now, huh? Yeah.
He's got that thing like Einstein said, trolling action at a distance or something.
I don't know. So I just want to just real quick with Brian here, because we haven't spoken to him in a while. Have you worked on any Coco projects lately, Brian?
Other than getting my computer back up and running with the Coco SDC, since my Super IDE controller does not want to work correctly. So I've been moving everything off of that onto the Coco SDC, and Alan Huffengate got me an image for 128 meg hard drive to use on that, and so I've been moving stuff over. So
okay.
But I can't get DriveWire to run on it.
On the Coco SDC?
Yeah.
It's built in. It boots up into DriveWire at RS-DOS level.
Not when I boot directly into OS 9.
Oh, that part I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think it depends.
You may have to have the distribution that covers it.
The DriveWire stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, you need the drivers for it.
I've got the drivers and all that. I yanked all the drivers for the latest DriveWire out of my latest boot that I had before crashing. The thing crashed and put all in. It does not connect to DriveWire. So
me on that one.
Check the cable.
I don't, unless I need. No, I don't have the T1 driver installed. I don't know if that might be causing it, because I thought the DWIO takes care of that. Correct? Or am I incorrect on that?
I believe you're correct. The T1 is for the RS-232 pack. Is that you going through the Bitbanger or for the RS-232 pack?
I'm going through the Bitbanger.
Yeah, the T1 is the RS-232 pack, I think.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's over my pay scale there.
Anything over level 1 is beyond your pay scale.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The system works. That's all I care about.
Yeah, well, that's cool. And you're definitely going to be at Coco Fest bringing the music again for how many years?
I already got my table, got my ticket. I got to print the tickets. Yeah.
Have you been to all 27? Have you missed a Coco Fest, or have you been to every Coco Fest?
I missed a couple. Late 90s.
Okay.
Mid early 90s, I think. But I was at most of them.
Okay. Because I didn't, before I knew you, but after I got to know you and I watched some of the PenFest videos, I'm like, dude, the Music Man was at PenFest, dude. This guy's been around forever, man.
I was at most of them.
Yeah. Brian the Shoebring, the Music Man, right? So that's pretty cool. Now, is there any new and improved drum equipment that might be making an appearance at Coco Fest this year?
If you bring it.
If I bring it, huh? You know what? I might just have to do that. If the finances improve, I might just buy a inexpensive digital kit to bring with me.
I know there's a couple of people saying they're planning on bringing guitars there. So more than just me and you and Brian.
Yeah, it was kind of cool when Rick Adams was playing a little guitar last year too. I would think it was
acoustic blues.
Yeah. Wait a second. You play guitar too? You make video games and you play guitar? Wait a second. What's going on here? So, pick one. So
how come he got all the talent? We got nothing. What the hell?
Yeah. Excellent.
Good night.
All right, we're going to put a fork in it. All right, we're playing the closing credits. Thank you all for being here. We've lost a few along the way, but some of us are still here. Ron Delvaux and Brian Shoebring, the Music Man, and John Lowry, and Richard Lorbieski, and Nick Marentes, and Chet Simpson, John Lowry, Tom C. from Jersey was here. Earlier we had Rick Adams. We had Javier join us from the Retro Club, Chris Shilliday, Barracuda. Who else was on the call? We had a handful of people come and go in the live chat. We've had Paul Thayer in the live chat. We've had all kinds of people in the live chat here. Tim Franklin has been here, and James Diffendaffer, and James Jones has been here, and James Diffendaffer and Paul Thayer, and Eddie Serbinski stopped by in the live chat. And we had somebody named Myron Hobazal was here trying to send a message to Steve Bjork, which we will try to pass on to Steve next time he's here. Ken Reichert has been here. Tim Franklin has been here. James Jones, Tim Franklin. Kevin Becker has been here. And Ken Reichert. And so on and so forth. Joe Stroh-Snyder says, I finally got to see an After Dark when it was on. So, hey, Joe. And Tim Franklin. And Michael Brandt was here for a little while. And James Jones. And Mark D. Overholzer was here. So, yeah, lots of people in the live chat. But we're going to put this dumpster fire out of its misery now by playing the After Dark outro. We wish you all a very good evening and a happy life and retro forever, Coco forever, and all that good stuff. So we'll see you next time, everybody.
My favorite part of the show.
Yes. All right. Once again, this concludes another episode of CoCoTALK After Dark, brought to you by Boyson Technologies, makers of the Boomerang E2 board and the Paradigm joystick adapters. Accepting warranty repairs. David Ladd's conducting the After Dark Orchestra. Nick Marentes with his 12 neighbors down under. Chet Simpson. Tom C. from Jersey. All right, and this concludes another dumpster fire. We're going to press the button and say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Grace.
Good night, John Boy.